Astronauts to the moon.
Ignition sequence start. 3, 2, 1.
Houston, we have a problem.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue.
What you're seeing here is a mirage.
What's going on, everyone? It's Jaron from Jeranism back with another live video for you. How lucky are you? Extremely. It is Friday. It means it's time for another Jeranism Friday Lounge. Thank you guys for joining us. I named this one number 37, Insane Normal. What do I mean by that? I mean the insane new normal. This world has gone crazy. And I do have some people joining me, thank goodness. I'm not alone. We've got Rodrigo Ferrari Nunes here. Rodrigo, welcome to the show.
Hey, Jaron. Thank you for having me. How is it going? Very good. Very hot here. And yeah, thank you for having me. Looking forward to what we're looking at today. I'm excited.
All kinds of fun stuff, as always. We also have Karen B., the best voice in probably the world. Karen, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
How are you?
Pleasure to be.
What's new?
I'm doing great. I've been very busy because it's summer and it's that, it's a busy time of year out in the country. But
I would not know
thought
that.
I had time to join today, so.
Good. Welcome to the show. I'm happy that you're here. Would love your take on a lot of the insanity going on. I know you're out there fighting the good mask fight. Thank you for doing that, by the way. Trying to treat these people like they deserve to be treated. We also have Iru Landucci joining us from the land over and across. Iru, what's up?
Hello, everyone. Here we have a really nasty winter, so I'm a little jealous of you guys. Living in the summer with mask.
Oh,
It's one of my dreams. So,
have you seen? I have to show you this new mask. Where did I see it? Oh man, now I probably lost it. Oh yeah, have you seen this down here?
No.
Oh
no.
god, I actually saw somebody wearing one of these at the grocery store. I got to show people what I'm talking about.
Wow. No, the last thing that I saw, which was something really cool, was the invention from NASA, that kind of necklace that supposedly clear your air surrounding like 1 meter or something like that from your face.
Thank God for NASA,
Yes, man, they are everywhere.
So to start
6.99.
To start off, I'm just going to show a little bit of. Oops, not this. We're going to turn on. I was watching before the show, and I know a lot of people have their own opinion about Alex Jones. That's fine. Have your, you can have whatever opinion you want of Alex. You can think what you want about the America's Frontline Doctors. If you don't know who Del Bigtree is, he's amazing. I love Del Bigtree. I love what he's got to say about vaccines, and that's kind of the point of watching this. Del Bigtree, if you didn't know, got removed from YouTube, just joining the long list of people that are having their channels shut down for no reason. He's a huge vaccine expert or, anti-vaccine guy. And he's on Alex Jones this morning.
We're right back. Stay with us 60 seconds.
And it just ended. So I was going to watch a little bit of it with everybody today, but obviously, and I don't think you can rewind on their live video. I recommend everybody check that out. Everybody find. Go ahead, Ira.
No, I remember. Sorry because it was a little delay in this comment, but it's not anti-vaccine. It's pro-no vaccine.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay.
Pro-no vaccine. There you go. And again, I mean, he just makes so many great points, and he was just killing it today. And so you can think what you want about the Alex Jones show. Today's a show that I think was absolutely worth watching. I've been watching it for the last, 55 minutes. So for about the last hour before the show started, I was listening, and it was absolutely fantastic. And Del Bigtree has so many good things to say. He was just on all morning talking about vaccinations, obviously measles vaccine. I mean, all the things that you hear, all the arguments that you get. He talks about sitting across from Fauci and asking these guys, like, why don't you just do a blind study? Why don't you just do a study of these are the vaccinated group versus the unvaccinated group? And always they'll refuse to do that study. Why? Because in the kind of studies that they do, when they do look at those things, it's all the people that are vaccinated that are getting sick. And causing these problems. And he's just talking about the fact that now the vaccine program is falling apart, doesn't work anymore, and basically all these things are wearing off. I mean, I thought one of the greatest things he said, and of course I can't say it as good as he did, but one of the things that he was talking about was that this whole goal, everything is big pharma trying to make money, right? If you really think about everything that's being done, and this is so blatant that what they tried to do with this whole vaccine industry and everything is to make money from doing what nature does naturally, from what your body does by itself, from what nature does by itself, which is basically if you get sick, you get immunity. This is what your body already does for you, and they attempted to make money off of that idea, and that's what the whole vaccine program is from the very beginning. And he made a great point where he's like, some of you probably do need vaccines, talking about people who drink Coke and drink Pepsi and eat McDonald's every day and eat Big Macs and eat Burger King, and these people are so toxic that a vaccine isn't going to really affect you. You're already toxic. What difference does it make? You already live a very toxic lifestyle. You drink shit water, fluoridated water. Everything you do is a very toxic lifestyle. Taking medications, taking pharmaceuticals. That vaccine won't hurt you. So to those people, more power to you. So, and I'm in agreement with him. If you want to take a vaccine, by all means, take a vaccine. If you want to vaccinate your children, by all means, vaccinate your children. But do not tell me what I should do with my body. I take care of my body in other ways, so I don't need a vaccine. My immune system works just fine on its own. I don't need to boost it. I don't need to help it. I don't need that. And if I get sick, I'll get sick, and I'll fight through that. And that's my choice, right? But what they're trying to do is completely take that choice away from you and make money while doing it. And it's a absolute and total joke. So definitely people should check that out. Let me see if he came back with them or not. No, doesn't look like he's coming back with. Let me see. No.
I think that's it.
What's going on with this volume?
Like I've been talking too about, don't do the impossible. If you think it's impossible, you're never going to do it.
Let me see if I can find it at all. I don't think you can find it. Just to play a little bit of it would have been great, but I don't think you can rewind the live show.
So that's
anybody know how to use this website?
That's why I love, what we
well,
do here
I'm sure you guys will be
together,
able to find it. So definitely look
we
for it. Go to band.video. I think you can usually find old shows. I don't go to Alex Jones Infowars much. I did start there just to show people what happened with the Owen Benjamin thing. I don't know if you guys saw it. Did any of you guys see that news report? This one here. That Patreon lost.
Saw that you posted that, yeah.
Yeah, Patreon lost the lawsuit. It's a funny lawsuit because at first Patreon then sued basically all of Owen's patrons by saying that they couldn't file for arbitration. There was basically all these people, Owen basically got shut down from Patreon. He told all the people that live in California to, go ahead and sue Patreon to go for basically arbitration, which is going to cost them tens of thousands at least per each person. So you're talking potentially millions of dollars. And Patreon then changed its terms of service and fired back at all these people, basically suing them and saying, oh, no, now we're suing you for going after this. And it's hilarious because if you look at the actual tweets here, it was great because it basically backfired on them. I was trying to find the actual posts, and I guess I saw them somewhere else. But basically there was posts from people basically laughing at Owen and his fans like, haha, this one backfired on you guys when they tried to arbitrate individually, and then Patreon changed its terms of service, which is not going to work well, right? I mean, you can't just go change your terms of service, and that's what they basically did. And now they lost the lawsuit. Basically, the judge came out and said, here we go. Patreon then sued. Oh, so this is a good, here's the story here. Patreon then changed its terms of service in an attempt to stop this from happening after the claims were all filed. This was their change in the terms, basically saying you can't bring a claim against us for suspending or terminating another person's account, and you agree you will not bring such a claim. If you try and bring such a claim, you are responsible for the damages caused, including attorney's fees and costs. Patreon then sued Owen Benjamin's backers for attempting to receive arbitration and filed for a preliminary injunction to stop this from happening. However, earlier this month, the judge in the case ruled against them, noting that their changes in terms of service was tantamount to them changing the rules in the middle of the game. The formal judgment was revealed on Wednesday, with the ruling being solidly based on previous California legal findings. Patreon will now have to go through arbitration with each of the fans and will not be able to recoup any of the fees, even if they win the individual cases, which is going to cost them, no matter how you look at it, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. So check that out if you are interested in that. Any comments there?
Yes, I hope that Patreon right now don't be shut down, because now is my only the only money that I receive to live. So wait a little bit until, maybe YouTube give me back the monetization thing or something like that.
Well, this is the joke. I mean, think how much money Patreon's making. I mean, Patreon is doing fine. They're doing just fine. They'll be just fine. It's just it's what you get. You get what you get. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. You're gonna get what you bargained for, and if you go and change your terms of service in the middle of something, and you incorrectly set up your business, and you try and take people down who, as far as I know, Owen didn't even post on Patreon, which is what I learned from him. Was that a lot of people who are my patrons might wonder why I don't post there. The reason why is because the second I post there, even if I post a link to a video, that gives them ground to terminate my account. Right now, how could they terminate my account? I don't post anything there. Right.
Yeah, and in fact, I follow that same advice that you talk about it. And if you just extrapolate this thing to what they are going to be capable of doing to us in terms of, because right now they use the platform, but of course in the future, near future, they can go with credit cards or bank accounts or whatever.
Right.
This is just a fractal of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing I wanted to talk about, and the show may be a little short today. We're not really sure. We'll see how far it goes. One of the things my wife has been asking me for the entire time she's been pregnant, and I have not been a good husband because I have not obliged. She really wanted to go swimming. That's her biggest thing. She wants to go swimming. So we found a place to swim. So we're going swimming today and tomorrow. So if we can stop a little early, that'd be great. And we'll get on the road.
You're talking about...
We're going to the neutral buoyancy.
No, sorry, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
What is it?
I used to love swimming in the ocean. Hello.
You used to? We hear you. You used to.
Okay, I used to love swimming in the ocean when I was pregnant. I don't know about your wife, but that was my favorite. Was to go just out past the break and float in the seawater.
Wow,
that's the best.
I'll have to give her that advice. She just wanted to go to some pool, and there's no pool near us. And of course, with everything shut down, it's not like you can go to a public pool or something, right? Of course, hotels were shut down everywhere, and they weren't letting people in the pools. So it was like this kind of nightmare situation where she just really kept saying, "I would really like to go swimming." I'm like, "Yeah, I'd really like it too. I don't know where we're gonna go. We don't know anybody with a pool. Obviously, we're in a city where we don't know anybody at all." But anyway, we figured it out, so we're going to do that today and tomorrow, so we're very excited. She's very excited about that, her more than I. But I guess she's just excited about being weightless for a period of time. So we're excited about that. So again, if we keep the show short today, that'd be great. I don't know if you guys saw yesterday, I did a live stream with Alex Stein. We took some calls. We did that on DLive. But one of the things that we did at the beginning was talk about the launch. I don't know if you guys saw it. I'll bring it up now. We can talk about it. I don't know if you guys saw this. Yeah, Yuri wants to talk about it. So this was the launch, of course. This is Perseverance going to the great planet of Mars, some 50 to 150, whatever they claim it is at this point in time, million miles away, and they're going to drop this thing into the atmosphere, and it's going to be this little rolling remote control car. It will have a helicopter attached. Ira, did you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
And a helicopter, yes. Here was news also in the media. So. And
the helicopter is supposed to go 15 feet high.
And the micro. How you call microbials? No, how is the name in English?
Microbial.
Sorry. Microbes. Supposedly they're gonna trying to research about the micrology, macrolife that supposedly is in Mars.
Of course.
Amazing, man, amazing. They cannot test, they cannot avoid false positive here on Earth with something that they know, but they're going to, discover. They're gonna send equipment and discover new microlife in Mars. It's
exobiology, man.
Yeah.
They take it out of usually look at stuff in volcanoes, bacteria that survive in volcanoes. Then they come up with the extremophile idea.
then they say that it's going to work on Mars.
Volcanoes.
And that's probably what they do. They'll find these things already on the Earth, on these remote locations, and pretend it from Mars, as usual.
So you are saying that the volcanoes now are sick?
Are sick.
Because it has bacteria. So they need to put a mask on volcanoes, man.
Yeah.
And so again, I mean, I understand everybody's got their own opinion of what this actually is. I know Dave Weiss continues to think that it's a balloon with smoke coming out of it. I don't know. To me, it's simple. I do believe that you can create.
It's a missile.
It's a missile. Yeah, that's exactly my belief. You can create missiles. Humans have the ability to create a missile and launch it out in a certain direction. They can go a certain distance, right? One of the things that we know for sure is you can't see very far. I mean, if you think about a plane, how far do you think you can see planes in the sky? I'm talking about distance away from you, right? East or west or horizontally. Not very far. I mean, if you think you can see a plane 5-10 miles off in the distance, I don't think you can. You're just not going to see through the atmosphere. So we're about to watch this launch.
It reminded me of the missile that Iro was showing one day with Putin. Remember that one? Yeah. That was
flying through the hills and everything.
I have everything here to make my first screen share after Sharon's presentation.
I love it. So yeah, I'm just going to show this, and this is what I think is so funny. You know, you watch this, and you have to remember that the distances and the speed that they're telling you are just what they're telling you, okay? And there's a reason why. I'll stop this again. There's a reason why you never. Yeah, that's supposedly steam is what they're saying. Supposedly this gets so hot it needs to be drenched with water, and the thing gets so hot that this is steam. That's supposedly their story. But here's what you have to remember: that you'll never see a rocket launch from the side view. Why? Because we saw the side view one time. Remember, Ira, we looked at that, the side view of the SpaceX launch, where basically the thing went up from this side, went up, and then went down, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So they won't show you the view from the side. Why? Because it will be painstakingly obvious that the thing is not gaining altitude. As it is with this, if you just use your mind and are not in awe of the miracle of space travel and what a great human species we are and how fantastic America ingenuity is, if you get over that, you'll start to realize the hoax. So here this thing takes off, and you just have to think of how quickly, and we're going to be watching down here in the lower left, the so-called or the supposed speed and distance. So this thing's taking off. And in a second here, we're going to get, I believe, hopefully.
To go at 22 times the speed of sound, how many of those shocks that they should have, right? Those kind of breaking the sound barrier should be one after the other.
So
it does once.
Just be continuously booming, and it's so funny because I was watching this the other day with Brian. We were looking at this, and the thing just goes up, and then it's like almost immediately it starts pointing down, even when they show it to you from their angle.
Right.
Exactly. They can't fake that it's going down. It's just what it is.
That's what it is.
And they just have to rely on people believing that, oh, it's because the Earth is turning and it's going so far in the atmosphere, not even taking into account, angular size for what it is, and should you even see it if it's going that fast, and how is it even going 6,000 miles per hour without, disintegrating?
Right. And this is supposedly, just so people can see this is the miles altitude. It's not kilometers, not anything else. This is miles, and this is miles per hour. So again, within 35 seconds, and that's even if you count, this thing slowly lumbering up, within 35 seconds, it's at 10 miles altitude, which is higher than any commercial jet, 52,000 feet, right? So it's already hard to believe at this point. And then, as we know, it's going to go up, and it's going to, as we said, start to level off, flying horizontal with the ground. But again, if you watch this thing just lies to you. Just completely and totally lies to you and tells you this thing. Look how fast this thing is saying that it's rising. It's rising a mile or 2 miles or 3 miles every second. I mean, it's like 3 miles a second. And now this is leveled off. This is now flying down. Okay, it's no longer gaining altitude, but look at the altitude. 39, 40, 41, 42, 40. It's going down. 44, 46. This is heading down.
See, there it is. Now it's already going down.
Yeah, hold a pencil. I mean, there's no. If you're looking at this from any angle, it cannot be going up. That's not what it would look
the
like.
thing is that, and I'm going to play the devil's advocate
Please.
or something like that. I always listen to you guys
What is
saying
that in
that
Spanish,
word.
Hero? Is it Diablo or
Abogado,
something?
yes, abogado, lawyer of the devil. But the thing is, so leave just the idea that now is not going down, but at least it's horizontal.
At least, okay,
Going
I'll
away.
give you that.
At least it's going away, right? Horizontally.
Yes, it's just in the straight path
Yeah,
to
that's
the
what that
horizon.
Chinese missile that you show, right?
Exactly.
You have the two,
Yes.
two angles,
Yes.
and
I'll
you
give
can
you
see
that.
it's going away.
I'll give you
It's
that.
going
So then-
away in
Well,
straight
until
line.
It's out of sight, and then
Just
it falls
that.
into the the missile graveyard in the ocean.
Yeah.
I'll give you that, but it is
Eventually,
not
yeah.
rising at basically
It's
1
not going
mile
up.
per second. It's just not. And again, this is just a lie. I mean, they have it set basically. Look at, they can have it set to rise. Look at it's actually going
of course.
exactly.
That's a
in order.
widget that you program, right?
Yeah, it's just
I mean,
easy. Yeah, it's just simple, and then it can just
No,
get a
that's
little bit
very
faster.
difficult to do, man.
Oh, so difficult.
Yeah, look at that graphic. It's so futuristic. It's
Oh.
impossible to human do that.
So,
No, you can tell it's connected to all their machines, right? The sensors, real time.
Oh, and that just jumped 4 miles. So now we've got 70 miles in altitude. I mean, people need to think of how far 70 miles is. I mean, you can barely see an airplane at 5 miles.
Right.
And this is 75
That's
miles.
way too far for seeing this. But
It's ridiculous.
wait, shouldn't it get to 17,000 miles an hour at some point? Or does it do that?
Carlos Pagan. Carlos
Well, it's
Pagan.
supposed to go faster than that to get away from Earth, isn't it?
Yeah, the escape velocity.
Carlos Pagan, you are a joke, dude. Do not send me any more super chats. I don't want your money so you can make your nonsense comments. He says it looks like it's going down because of perspective. Go ahead and believe that, dude. You are so sold on because you
Let
installed.
us to analyze that today.
Okay, go
We can
ahead.
analyze, and
We'll
at
analyze
least
that.
you need to give us the right to think that it's in a straight path.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
how
could
much
be.
fuel has to keep going where?
Look at this
think
thing
it's
just
gonna
exit,
fall.
pointed
exit
down.
That
in
looks
the
like
straight
it's
path
going
to
down.
the atmosphere. Come
Yeah,
on.
it's not even a question. It's pointed down. It's not even a question.
How does
Unless
that-
you believe in space so hard because you hooked up a few DirecTV satellites and you can't believe anything but what you've been taught. It looks like it's going down because of perspective. Look at this thing. If you think that is flying up, it's gaining altitude, man, you've lost. You've lost it. Again, believe what you want. Believe what you want. I don't. You can
And
have.
you can
have that all
totally
you want.
tell, some of them explode. I mean, I'm not even kidding. Like if you look back in the 1969 film with Wernher von Braun talking about going to the moon, when you look at the Apollo rocket, it actually explodes in a couple of frames, and then it cut to the inside in this 69 movie. So it's either it's falling later, it can go horizontally for a while, but it's definitely not going up.
No. And again, I don't know
and
how
if
to
it-
explain
yeah.
it better to people that if you take a pencil and you hold it up above your head and out in front of you, start to angle it where the pencil is pointed up, where the pencil is pointed down, where the pencil is pointed away from you, and clearly when you get that angle is when the pencil is pointed down. Okay, if it's pointed, it may be horizontal, maybe like Iru said, maybe horizontal, but if you point it up, you get the underside of you don't get that side of the craft.
Yeah.
It-
I mean, you see with the clouds, right? As the clouds go away from you, you see them flat from the bottom, lowering towards the horizon. You don't see them spinning or turning.
And then they show you this, and I'm sure Carlos thinks this is real. Why? Because the thing is, it's going away from you because of perspective, and this is the next view you get.
Can you just compare that to an ISS picture? Because it already looks like what it looks like from the ISS. It's like, what's the difference?
Yeah, it's
it
just
looks
the
like they're
same.
using the same backdrop.
And they're, again, 225 miles, and you can keep watching this thing just jumping. But again, it's supposedly flying up in the sky.
Oh,
what
they
was
put a
that?
lot of their ice particles in this one too.
Oh,
kinda...
that's another thing. I think it's on this screen. Is it on this one or? I had a screen up yesterday where see all these little fragments flying. They were flying even in the other screen. Hopefully it's on this one. I'll show you if it comes up. It was like basically just telling you that it's all bullshit. But again, people can believe whatever they want. Carlos, if you want to believe it,
They're
believe it all you
flying
want.
almost like back towards the camera or something sometimes. That would be impossible, but kind of looks like that. Who knows how kind of they layered this in their CGI program? It looks really fake.
So I don't know if you can see these little pixels that are showing up there, like little.
I don't see a fake really in terms of my eyes. I just see a missile to maybe 25, 30 kilometers up in the sky, going in a straight path with a fisheye lens. It's nothing fake. The thing is fake is that they don't show the complete flight of the rocket.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yeah,
they just
comparing this to the rockets. You know, the sounding rockets. You know, they go up and they go fast, and they don't get all this ice. That's what I'm just questioning why all this stuff. You don't. Do you see this all the time? This much of it? It just looks slightly different.
But you can argue that maybe the condensation, because this rocket has more fuel and it's more heat, accumulate more heat, and maybe when you go up there, the temperatures are really low. So you can have condensation, whatever. You have in the first step condensation, and then that condensation get freeze. Okay, the thing is, maybe it's not right. Maybe it's
miles would be, inside that layer that. I mean, of course. So you said 20 miles, right? You said something.
Yeah, a little more, maybe 30 miles. And you can maybe see that behavior in the gas house spread, which is something that spreads very in a spherical pattern, like there is no pressure there to keep it, more in the jet stream way.
But there are examples of missiles doing that, right? That spreading pattern, and when they explode and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
So the thing is, real quick, let me just point this out. Let me point this out real quick, and then you can go back to.
It's your show, okay?
Yes. Be quiet. No, I'm just kidding. Do you see how it's like breaking pixels here? Like you'll see these little squares. I was trying to pause it on one, but you'll see them flash across the screen. It's like, oh, the feed is breaking up, and it's getting. You'll see it here in a second. There's like these little square pixels. Eero, you have to tell me what they are. I'll see if I can pause on one. But I think it's hilarious that they're showing these little broken pixels here, and then the next screen is their logo screen, but the broken pixels are still there. Okay, see right here, Eero?
Yes, that compression thing.
Okay, so then see again, and then you can keep pausing it, and there'll be more and more of these. It keeps happening, right? So you just saw one over here. I'm playing it in slow. Mm-hmm. Okay, broken pixels. Compression, whatever you want to call it. Here it is more. Here's a big one right there. Here's some out here. Okay, so see those squares, the little black and white squares are appearing over here a lot. I'm sure everybody can see them. In a second, you're going to see it switch to their logo screen. And why would there be compression issues on the logo screen? What would be the possible reason for that?
Well, we don't know the source of the transmission. So maybe they are receiving into computer. The computer take it from. It's like, for example, I don't know. Maybe let me just explain with example on StreamYard. I am using the data from StreamYard to replicate and resend it to YouTube via OBS. So on the logo on the StreamYard, I could have compression, pixelation in the logo of the StreamYard in this case. The thing is that, for example, even in the NASA logo could have, patches of bad compression. So I never upload a video from the ISS with compression errors, because that things happen. That is not a direct confirmation of that they are faking it in some studio. That things happen all the time.
The compression error doesn't happen on the launch. It's only happening here on the supposed video from space.
They are very far away to the antenna. They can say that. I mean, I am not. I'm still a predator, guys.
Yeah, but see, the screen is frozen. The thing is that the screen is frozen.
They can use any argument for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
One question: do you think this is a live feed?
Well, that is the question, and then I mentioned that maybe this was recorded and then creating that in some in any compositing software, because we don't have any proof that they are live. No. For me, it's more easy, and I say that many times before. Like it's more easy to send a rocket, film real footage, and then use it and combine it with a picture of the rocket or some animation of the rocket. But for me, this guy have the technology to film that. It's not that doesn't prove anything. No. That is a rocket in the upper atmosphere.
But
nothing more.
Don't you find it a little bit strange though, Iru? Like when you see the video from like the view that we were just watching, it's always with like the Earth below the rocket. Like you never can see. It's never any other view, and then the rocket's not spinning at all. Like not even a little bit. You would think that if it was a rocket, that there would be some sort of natural rotation as it's turning, but it seems to stay in one position.
But they don't use the thin in the lower part of the rocket to make a spin. That they use in the sounding rocket because you only have a very narrow window of thrust.
So
you need
you
to
think
spin
this video here is real?
That altitudes.
You think this video here is real?
Well, this is the part that they can combine things, and I can show you the techniques. We don't see. I don't see nothing. I don't see nothing that is related to, for example, microgravity right now. There is nothing that tell me that thing is in the heliocentric model. That is something that I want to leave clear.
Gotcha.
This could be filming in real life. That this could be something that could happen in that lower altitude, whatever. But nothing tell me that this is a heliocentric model, and that image is a real-time live feed.
Right.
No one of my problems.
The rocket, of course, it's live feed from the YouTube or the main station of NASA. Of course, that is live feed.
I just think that it's obvious to me that they try and make it look very. I think they add these compression effects. I don't think there are any compression effects. I don't think it's anything, because you wouldn't have compression effects that accidentally leak over the logo. But here's one thing I could do. I could add little squares on my live stream right now. I could add a lot of little squares, and I could pretend like my live stream has compression effects. And the way you would know for sure that I did that is when I accidentally put up the title of today's show, right? If I switched right now to this screen, and all of a sudden you saw the compression effects happening on this piece, you would know that I've faked those compression effects. Because it's clearly not...
Be a layer.
It's clearly not... If they're showing... Yeah, it's layers. I mean, it's clear. There's no other way that you would... Oh, we're in space, and now it's a difficult video, and now there's compression effects, and then show me the logo, and then the logo has compression effects. Why?
Could be either. I think for one thing that always catches me when I look at these things is that how you never have a sunset and a sunrise that look at all realistic. Because when you're looking at this every day, you see the amount of lights there, the different colors and stuff that happen in the sky when the sun rises and sun sets. You never see this in NASA footage. And when you see it, which is that super fake ISS stuff, the Don't Pet It series with the Aurora Borealis and stuff, and in that one you can even spot these. I spotted,
even the stars. Why they can configure a camera to see the stars, man? I mean,
like, what kind of camera is this? What kind of camera is this? This is the best that they can do. And then again, see how the screen paused? The screen paused, but you still have these compression effects flying through, and then there they are on top of the logo. Like, what is that? That doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand it even from a video creator standpoint. If I had somebody out on the street, for instance, doing a live stream right now, so I've got my wife out, she's doing an interview, and somehow I'm piping that video feed into my live stream, into my OBS. If her live stream had video airs or had compression effects going on, that would be one thing. I can understand that. It's a live stream. There's no connection. But then if I switch to my logo, how could the logo also have those same compression effects? How is that possible? I don't think it's possible. Ira, do you want to show? We can finish this off, but basically,
it means that if they're doing this for a reason, it would be to add some sort of authenticity to what they're doing.
Yeah, it's making people think it's incredible. I mean, it's the worst camera views of all time. This is a terrible camera.
Yeah. I mean, you should have cameras all over. You should have this going into a website where you can click the cameras and look all over the ship and inside.
Sure. And you should have HD cameras. I mean, when you're talking about the cost of this mission, anybody who says you shouldn't have HD cameras on this thing is kidding themselves.
It's crazy.
It's just stupid. It's just stupid to me. I mean, so if this is the only camera we get, I'm going to call fake until they ever show me something better. Why? Because
for me, there's a problem already here. Look at the shadows not really changing on the actual ship here. There should be They should be changing all the time. This just looks that there's nothing coming from the Earth itself and shining back onto the ship.
And I've seen
and
video.
They make many of these mistakes.
Iru and I have talked
lights.
about it before. I've seen video before where they do these practice launches, or they're not practice launches, but they're practice burnings of these engines, and they put them in these black boxes, and this is exactly what you see.
Exactly the same.
It's exactly
Doesn't
the
And they
same.
have no,
like
and I
it's
showed
already
before
in
it.
orbit.
Huh?
It looks like it's already in orbit. It's not supposed to be in orbit yet. It's not even supposed to be close to orbit. And look at it.
Well, it's 425 miles.
Mm-hmm.
So that
it's
would
like the
be,
ISS.
Yeah, it's already.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, it's way past the ISS.
Look at those clouds.
How did it get up there so fast? Why does it take everything else so long and this one got up there so fast?
Stupid. This is the thing. Think about when they launch supposed astronauts to the ISS. It takes days, many hours for this thing to get up there.
Okay, well, whatever. Did anybody see what happened with the two knuckleheads that were supposed to come back from the ISS, Doug and Bob or whatever?
Oh my goodness, those guys are.
They were supposed to come back yesterday, weren't they? Or was that today?
And land in the water?
It happened.
Did it happen?
Or I don't know. What I saw was like a bunch of people talking about it. Like I didn't even want to watch it. It's like astronauts coming back, and what it was like NASA officials talking for 1 hour about it.
Oh, I don't know when they're supposed to come back, but I know they're supposed to land in the ocean, which is different than they have been for a while. They've been landing. God, I cannot pause it there, no matter how hard I try.
What happened
Kazakhstan or whatever in the desert.
I know. I'm trying to pause it there because I flipped right at the, but I keep missing the moment in time.
I mean, how did it get there so fast? Nothing ever gets there that fast.
No, yeah,
or at least it doesn't seem like it.
I can't get there. Within 3 minutes.
So wow. I mean, how long they get to 17 to 400? How many minutes they get to 400 miles?
Within 3 minutes, they're already at the height of the ISS. So really, what they're saying is that you should be able to put people in a rocket, send it to the ISS within 3.5 minutes, and then it dock.
The acceleration then is way more. Well, I mean, Chris Hadfield, he says it takes 8.5 minutes.
Oh, is that what he said?
He says what?
To get to the ISS?
Yeah, well, he tells his story, right? That how the rocket rumbles and everything, and there's this TED talk that he talks about how he got blind in space and so on, and yeah, he says that it takes 8.5 minutes to get to 17,500 miles an hour.
So, Iru, my issue with saying that this is just a camera on a missile is could you not take some point on the ground here and calculate how fast it's moving and then say, oh, it is moving at 11,000 miles per hour?
Well, maybe for the mathematicians that could be, or for the physicists could be easy, yes.
That's a very good idea, actually.
The thing is that you have, right now you have very, low parallax also in the background.
The background.
Happening.
It means it's closer or something is wrong there, right? Because
something like that, yes.
Mm-hmm. So, Ido, but wouldn't it be possible for anyone who knows 4D studio to model the supposed altitude, the supposed velocity, and the land features to see whether that makes sense? So that would be a lot of work.
Again, repeat it because I didn't understand. Sorry.
If someone were to model this on 4D Studio with the altitude, what they're saying here, the altitude they're saying, the velocity they're saying, and then the size of the ball Earth, would that?
No, that is not something that is complicated. The problem is right now, for example, you only have, for example, for take a measurement, the clouds, and you don't know how are the size of the cloud, for example. You don't have buildings, you don't have land masses, nothing like that in that particular view.
You have to, but you would know at least what's the altitude of the highest clouds possible, right? Something like that.
Yes, you need to take the time and analyze the weather report and make a complete. It's a little difficult. Maybe I don't think you need so much for
proving it wrong. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Yeah, the whole thing I was watching, I just didn't agree with any of it. Even when you get to this thing here and it's telling you this inclination degree, which I'm guessing is the incline of the craft, is it 29 degrees inclined? Well, then if it's true, then how would you not be gaining altitude? So, I mean, there's just so many problems I have with it. Of course, I'd probably have problems with it no matter what. And then,
It
of
looks
course,
like a lightsaber.
what is it doing here? Now it's just
Lightsaber?
We don't have a camera to see it do these crazy moves, right? It's got to
That's not
start
what I was
spinning.
calling it yesterday.
No, you know
the
that
guy
NASA
from,
has sent a
Veritasium
lightsaber.
is there.
NASA did send a lightsaber to space
Okay.
at 11:38 a.m. And you know that there's a THX 1138 film by George Lucas. So to celebrate that, they did send a freaking lightsaber into space to the ISS.
And then, so if at some point
Serious.
this thing is going to blast off to Mars, is that right? I mean, that's.
That
Yes,
should
one,
be
And look at this. This is like time until signal acquisition. So now it's just flying out in space, and they can't get a signal of it. I mean, who's buying this shit? Oh, we need a.
Well,
there's
a lot of
no.
The
people.
guy looked like Kent Clark.
Unfortunately, there is a
Why
lot
is
of
everyone
people
wearing a
that
mask?
buy.
Karen, you need to be a little bit louder.
Yeah, Karen, I can barely hear you. So, eat your microphone a little bit more. Get on top of it.
Okay.
Actually, NASA shuttle launched Luke Skywalker's lightsaber to space in 2007. I'm gonna post it here for you guys.
Fantastic. So, I mean, I'm not buying any of this. I mean, again, people can buy it all they want. It's just meant for people who have a deep infatuation. It's meant for Carlos Pagan so that he can feel incredibly secure in his belief that the Earth's a globe and that humans are great, the United States is great, we're sending things to Mars, and in 10 minutes and 50 seconds, it will reacquire the signal with the craft that they just sent out into space. And they're going to reacquire
She's
the
wearing a
signal
mask, of
in
course.
10:45. It's just such a joke. And what are her pictures here behind? Does it have anything to do with the... Look at, they're even looking at CGI themselves here. It's just a joke. Again, total joke. All right, Iru, you want to do your share screen?
No.
Why is she wearing a mask by herself?
Don't ask que- Oh,
I don't
boy.
get it.
Actually, guys, they're saying here that the astronauts are going to
guys.
return in a couple of hours or less, hour and a half. That's when it starts.
And then they are going to drop
How come the
into the
two
ocean.
guys aren't wearing a mask? Is this like Sharia mask law?
I don't know, and they are right next to each other because look, you can see this lady down here is the same lady as this lady here. See this guy walking? They're right next to each other, but they put them in separate boxes. Oh, that's funny. This is the ULA sign, and this is the ULA. Same guy walking by. Anyway.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
No, let me just 1 minute more.
No problemo.
Okay, and I don't know, it's not working something that I'm making right now here on the...
We can wait.
Well, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. No, that I have... I like to prepare something to share, but I'm gonna use, supposedly right now I'm sharing, and I'm gonna make like an organized presentation.
Okay.
So it's gonna be like going everywhere.
Do we have
And
to
maybe
take
we can...
notes?
What?
Do we have to take notes?
Yes.
No.
Oh, we don't?
Yes, no. No, because this is just this is it's not something that I'm prepared. It's on the fly, because we
Unorganized. Gotcha.
tackle this. Yeah, we tackle this subject. First of all, when you talk about launches or filming launches from not only from NASA, and I am not claiming that every one of those rocket launches is filmed by the same company, but the first thing that I did in the past was going and trying to know who are behind it. And apparently the guys who film also Blue Origin and also SpaceX, or at least a few rocket launches from SpaceX and NASA, it's the same company. It's called Flightline, which is a really particular name. Talking about the flight line, no? Flight level. This is a company. They are one of the, and they are partnership with NASA and other agencies. This company was behind also from Red Bull Space Jump, from the Edge of Space, supposedly, and also the guy from Google. So what I'm trying to say is these guys are at least involved in space and all these type of rocket launches. Here you can take a look of the official webpage. They are from the 70s, I believe. Some of the family members of the owner's works from the 70s, developing long-range optical tracking. Because, and this is for me things that I'm start questioning, which is the speeds of these things. Because we must be think that before they take out the secondary booster or the primary boosters, they are going like 10,000 kilometers per hour, something like that, which is something that is really, really fast. So they developed this type of equipment, which came from an old technique from NASA. There is a few telescope setup with modern cameras in the eyepiece. Of course, in the 70s, in the 80s, NASA used the same technique, but with regular cameras, film cameras, 16-millimeter cameras, that type of thing. And they develop these type of machines to, just, it's like a regular crane stuff in films. You have some levers that you just start moving in circles through this kind of handles here, which is calibrated to have a very, very smooth movement in the pitch and the rotation of the equipment. Of course, in our days, they also use this type of antennas to track.
So basically, it's a super tripod, like very.
Yeah, it's a super tripod on the top of a truck. That is what they use. It's this type of thing. It has multiple cameras, base connected to a telescope. But the thing is that, this is the guy behind a lot of rocket launches. And I'm start thinking, well, maybe if they are not physical there, well, they provide the equipment and the technique. So that is the first thing to question in this conspiracy, quote unquote, behavior of us, right? Why is like one company to go there and have the technology to film these rocket launches? And a lot of people maybe start questioning and saying, well, what about China rocket launches or Russia rocket launches? Whatever, make your own research. So this is the type of machine they use, okay? Even for the space shuttle. So they came from a long time ago, and they are in the, in the industry for a long time ago. So this is the first thing. The second thing is, if we start to compare things, because they are also a super fan of UFOs, aliens, and things like that.
And that's coming out now. Apparently in the New York Times, they're saying.
Sorry.
Sorry.
No, it's not sharing the audio, right?
No, we're not hearing it.
Okay, let me just. Sorry for that, guys.
Yeah, that's why I was speaking. Now they're claiming that there's been a crash that's been retrieved, and the Pentagon is going to release some. They have more UFO stuff that they're pushing.
Yeah. That is in our days. So let me just. Sorry for my Spanish in the background, but I was trying to, and that is my phone. No, that's my phone. Give me 1 second.
No problem. Iru's taking a call, so I don't know. This is
Yes, give me 1 second that I open the door and get back.
Sure.
1 second.
No problem. You can pause this if you want. Iru. Thank you for the super chats. Cleary says Mastards on Mars sounds like a bad movie. Yeah, it does. I don't know what that is. Zpandio Mind 13 says it's going ascending because they say so, even though I can see it descending. Again, believe what you want, guys. I mean, this is the great thing about YouTube. This is a great thing about free speech, is I'm going to stand by my opinion and you can stand by yours. And, hey, we can all get along. You can feel free to believe in remote control cars on distant planets floating in vacuums of space and helicopters flying on those planets. And, they're
helicopters flying on a planet that has supposedly 99% the atmosphere that Earth does.
Right,
99%.
And it's going to get up 15 feet in the sky. It's going to get 15 feet high, and it's going to take pictures. And this will help prove that it's so asinine and ridiculously stupid that
They
anybody
proved
would
it in a chamber, in a vacuum chamber with the atmosphere from Mars. That's how they do things. That's how they do this extremophiles. They throw bacteria inside a chamber. They say they recreate the atmosphere from Mars, and if it survives, then there's life on Mars. It's
yeah. I mean, this is the kind of nonsense. And if you think about the money being thrown into such stupidity, your family, nobody you know, nothing is ever going to be affected on this Earth by what's going on in these space stories. But it's just like Hollywood. People love it. It's space crack. Space crack.
Yeah, that's why they have to push it so hard, because people really don't care. I mean, they had, Richard Hoagland was out saying there was civilization on Mars and this and that. I mean, that was years and years ago, and the thing is still didn't, pick up. It's boring, kind of like the moon landings, right? There's nothing exciting about it. Sorry, go ahead, Iru.
Go ahead, Iru.
Okay, no, sorry for the. So the thing is, for example, and there are. This is. I'm gonna be talking about things that we have already talked about it. But the thing is that, first of all, is the angular resolution, the distance that you can achieve of filming this type of launches, of course, the perspective, the speed that this object has, and there is nothing on Earth that you can compare and say, okay, that rocket, it's going 10,000 kilometers per hour. There is nothing to, and in fact, all the senses that we use, it's telling us that thing is not going more than maybe 3,000 kilometers per hour if they reach that speed. That for me, for the size and the weight that these things has, is something a little impossible. So let me just speed up. And remember, this is an unorganized presentation. Mm-hmm. So this is, for example, this is the theory behind the flight to orbit, right? That supposedly you get rid of the, primary boosters at an altitude approximately 60 miles up in the sky. Mm-hmm. And then you just have the tiny rocket that we see going in a straight path that we discussed early. And the thing is, with this type of cameras, and we don't see even the sound barrier break it. Just like that, for example, in this case. So this is telling you that this rocket right now, it's going more than 1,200 kilometers per hour, right? Mm-hmm. Because that is with this type of physical barrier is break it.
Yes.
So from that point to the part of this booster are taken out, it's not much difference in terms of speed.
True.
So the thing is, in which point this heavy rocket reach 17,000 kilometers per hour.
Once it's flying straight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's continue. I speed up the video just for not boring anyone. So they start doing these camera changes, and right now, supposedly, in theory, this space rocket, it's about 80 kilometers mm-hmm. up in the atmosphere, which is something insane, mm-hmm. and 50,000 kilometers per hour, which is impossible.
Nah.
It's impossible from the standpoint of the camera resolution, the distance that this telescope film, the clarity of the video, the size that you can see this space rocket, which is
even the aerodynamics of the craft, right?
It's impossible because you still have atmosphere.
Yeah,
because you can tell that with the smoke of the and the fire on the rocket booster. You have atmosphere there. You are burning, air, oxygen, whatever. So this is impossible. And if you are going, think about this, if you are going at 15 kilometers per hour and you have a turn into the atmosphere, this thing is going to break apart.
Right.
Because you are not going anymore like an arrow, trying to avoid all the friction of the air. You just, take out these big boosters and making spin and fight with the friction in the atmosphere, whatever that friction is, because they're going to tell you, no, we are really low in terms of the molecules in the air, so there is no such a friction. But I see fire, man, there.
Yeah. And what is the
I see smoke.
What is the fastest like jet plane and how?
I gonna show that too.
That kind of disintegrates, right, at much slower speeds.
Well, at least you must have some kind of other behavior. This is my opinion. So what I'm saying is you don't have any direct confirmation that this thing is at 80 kilometers, 15 kilometers per hour, entering into the edge of space. And this is applicable to all rocket launches, not just this one. Okay.
15,000, and then also 80 kilometers is 50 miles for people wondering. Maybe they don't.
Yeah, sorry for my I use a metric system.
Don't do that anymore.
Sorry, guys. Sorry. We can count in Jesuit per hour or things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So, for example, if you type speed record into Google, you're going to reach that in 1976, they break the record worldwide in terms of speed with the SR-71, reaching 3,500 kilometers per hour. So when you start thinking about this is the plane. It's like a thin paper, it's like a thin paper in comparison with the space, with the shuttle rocket.
Yeah, the heavy round shuttle.
Look at that, man.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like only for one
laser.
person. you cannot put even your Coke on the.
Right.
Okay. So, and this thing, fly around 20 kilometers because it's less friction up there, and even at 20 kilometers, the spacecraft start to expand. Right. And came back to the Earth at really high temperature.
Mm-hmm. And leaking.
So, and we are only talking about 3,500 kilometers. Mm-hmm. Not even a quarter of what you need to reach space.
That's right.
Debunked.
So we have the Lockheed SR-71 at this speed, in comparison or versus to this huge thing reaching this. Of course they're gonna say no, but this final speed is in space, okay? But for breaking the Karma line, you need to reach 17.
No, then miles, I think, isn't it? Or a kilometer?
No, in kilometers, yeah, you need to reach, in kilometers is 17 kilometers per hour before entering to space. And then you supposedly reach the rest in space.
The escape velocity.
Yes, exactly. The escape velocity is like, it's a really.
It's gravity, man. You got to break it.
Yeah. So then you have all these tests just for comparison. For example, this is I believe in our days, this is the speed record, but it's not taking into account like a plane, because it's not a plane, it's like a missile with a person on top.
But I think this is not verified, the speeds, some of these, they're not confirmed. But this is the one confirmed. I think, isn't this the one that Neil Armstrong's supposed to have piloted?
Yes, in the 66671. 66671 missile. But again, this is like an intermediate state between the sounding rockets and the space rockets. This is in the middle. You can put a person, but still is a missile. It's a sounding rocket, a little more big, with all the characteristic of a missile, all the things here and things like that, but with a person inside. So
it sounds
this
scary, like because
it sounds
very
scary, man.
dangerous, right? Very dangerous.
Weren't
Yeah.
they trying to go really high with that too, though? They were trying to go as high as they could, like
With the plane.
350,000 feet or something like that, right? It was ridiculous.
Ridiculous. And you have this arrow in comparison with whatever, because it's not just fair to compare only with the space shuttle, also with the other planes or whatever. This is nothing in comparison even with the SR-71. And this thing reached only 7,000 for a short period of time and nothing more.
And it looks kind of like a boat, doesn't it? Almost looks like a boat for me.
And this is, yes, and even this prototype, which is a CGI, spoiler alert, CGI, the background is real. The spacecraft is a complete horrible thing. Nobody's going to get in there. But the fact is, this prototype supposedly gonna reach 11,000 kilometers per hour. So we are not even in the middle of what you need to reach space.
Yeah, that looks like a paper plane.
Yeah, it's a black paper because they love black things.
Looks like a shoehorn.
It's whatever you can imagine, because it's not going. They don't put any morphological thing, so you can imagine whatever you want. But the thing is that how this thing reached 17,000 kilometers per hour before 60 kilometers.
And that's the break of the sound barrier there.
Yeah.
You don't have to even break the sound barrier to see that, by the way, because I've seen planes at air shows just doing tricks, and they would get that effect over their wings, and they were not going anywhere near fast enough to break the sound barrier.
So that's a myth then.
That's just you can see a sound barrier, but you have to hear it too. If you don't hear it, it's not happening. You have to hear it too. Because I grew up also in the Bay Area, right, where there was Moffett Field, and I used to hear them flying those jets, and they would break the sound barrier until they made it so they couldn't do it anymore, because there was also a lot of earthquakes in the Bay Area, and nobody knew if it was an earthquake coming or if it was somebody breaking the sound barrier. So they made it so they couldn't do it anymore.
So it's very loud then. Would you hear it?
Yes, it shatters, it shakes windows and stuff. If you don't hear a sonic boom, nobody broke the sound barrier. That's all there is to it.
But the effect can happen anyway, some sort of atmospheric.
But that visual effect, you can see that without them having to break the sound barrier. I took pictures of it myself. I have a picture of an F-22 doing tricks, and you could see that over all of it. Like that just kept happening.
I mean, is that important to hear, do you think? Because, I mean, it's so funny that when on all their launches, there's never a supposed sound barrier break, right?
No. Yeah. And that is why I'm start thinking, what happened, man? I mean, why it's not that, for example, happened?
Right. So it stopped happening, then you say, recently now?
No, it
was more... No, the only thing that I saw, it's with this space shuttle. And well, you can argue like, I don't know, maybe the size of the rocket and how it's designed is for not showing to the people the sound breaker, but the sound barrier, things like that. They can argue whatever they want. The thing is that this thing is not even close to 5,000 kilometers per hour. So, and that thing happened with all the rocket launches. It's just a missile going fast, of course, and fast enough to take out from your view, and then it's going down. No more than that.
I don't buy that that's going anywhere near fast enough to break the sound barrier, much less leave quote-unquote Earth orbit.
It's already turning so fast, the way it turns.
Or whatever, or Earth's gravity.
It really spins fast.
So I can continue if you like. Let me just... for example, this same company, using the same method, they filmed the rocket balloon of Felix von Gardner. And just for imagine this, I mean, if they have the capability to film and record a space launch going 15,000 kilometers per hour at an altitude of 80 kilometers, why they cannot show a really super nice, crisp image of a thing at only 38 kilometers up in the atmosphere? This is the maximum of that camera, and this is the best that we get, which is pretty impressive, of course. But remember that at that moment, and this is saying from the team of the Felix van Garner, the size of the balloon is more biggest than the Statue of Liberty.
It's a monster, right? This balloon.
It's a monster.
But is this for real? You think this is real footage? Then do you think it is really at 38 kilometers high? Do you think, or do you think it could be less? You think it is 38?
No, I think it's 30 because I compare with a lot of other space sounding rocket and other launches, and it's completely technically speaking, you can achieve that altitude. But the thing is that because I saw all the conference that the team behind the flight line gives, like a TED Talks, and they talking about all the challenges that they need to pass, film this, starting for creating like a own atmosphere, a personal atmosphere to the camera, for not getting freeze the camera outside.
And a lot of
exactly, yes. And a lot of other things, and one of the things that they are worried at that time was that maybe our super telescope camera, they are not capable to resume the definition for film this tiny capsule, and this is the best that they can get. 38 kilometers. This is the best resolution they have. So explain to me how they can film a rocket at 80 kilometers from the ground with that size and with that quality of image. That thing is not more than 30 or maybe less, 20 kilometers. And then they switch cameras to CGI computer information. Is my opinion. You can contradict my opinion, you can argue, or you can show us another thing. But this is from the own people that film and develop this technology that they're still in use in our days for all, at least in terms of the United States.
It is the size of the Statue of Liberty, but it's way larger, right?
It's a fat McDonald's, post-McDonald's Statue of Liberty, yes. Just something like that. So this is
you look at that before you showed us how NASA had some of these different balloons, how long they can stay up and how high they stay. Some of the it's months at a time, and then there are some larger than Felix's, right? Even.
No, I don't think so. The ones that they use for film the Earth and make experiments, no. I believe this is one of the biggest balloons they develop.
The one that Felix von Gardner used?
Yes. That I believe. So this is a different time period of using this equipment, because remember, these guys used this equipment from the beginning of times in terms of the space industry. Well, this is the angular resolution thing, and I'm talking over in the video, explain and saying why they are concerned about the angular resolution. And remember that telescope, for example, that guy is filming this building only 50 kilometers in a straight line, of course, passing over all the atmosphere layer. It's not the same thing to film to the sky, because you're going to have the less atmosphere to get past. But the thing is that we don't have cameras to reach an arrow or a spacecraft going 20,000 kilometers per hour and still film it very soft and very nice. And I don't get it how they do it.
What about that telescope there? What's the property that it has? The one that has the combination of lenses that was just on the screen. Is that supposed to look farther? Or to magnify more? Or?
This guy is talking about he can see the ether with that combination thing. Let me just. Los telescopios.
Well, Mr. Bradbury, this looks like a conventional telescope, but I gather it isn't.
No, it's far from being a conventional telescope because it isn't split up in the lenses. Most of the lenses in this telescope are at the eye end.
Down here,
the
you
eyepiece end, yes. Yes, there's only one object lens at the other end.
What's the purpose of having so many lenses?
Well, you can't get the power without. You must have the power to bring the object very much closer. With a conventional telescope, you can't do that.
I would have thought that every time you passed a beam of light through an extra lens, you'd lose a bit of light.
Yes, that is so, that you do lose light. But looking at objects in the sky, you don't need to lose it.
Looking at your map of the Earth, it looks to me...
His map of the Earth.
Yes. Yeah. Well, this is a guy that is very interested guy. But I just put this in the video because I trying to compare, other type of telescope and how many lenses and types of telescope we have today in our days. But you just, the only thing that you can do is just magnify the object. You cannot, bring things. Yeah, that is why you need an object to magnify. You cannot see object behind the curve with a telescope. It doesn't matter. You cannot see from New York to Spain or to Portugal, things like that. And then I just mentioned the great telescope of the Paris exposition in the beginning of the 20th century. And just for comparison, because this was the biggest telescope ever made it in our human race. It was a size of gigantic. I mean, like 100 of meters in terms of the size. I don't know if you're aware of this telescope construction. Of course, the Jesuits are behind this
to make it work. It looks like
they make it work, and they take a picture, and that is why I believe that until we get something filming out or passing the 30 kilometers, we cannot conclude anything because we are just filming the screen called sky in terms of the object that we film from down here. And what I'm saying, this is the Jesuit behind the idea, of course, of this biggest telescope, Morex. This is the guy who developed that big telescope. And this is the telescope look at the eyepiece. This is the eyepiece. All right, this is where you put the eye, not this size here, but this size here.
Oh, there. Okay.
Yes, it's in the other side, and the mirrors was 2 meters mirrors, which is very high mirror in terms of the size of this telescope. And you have all the 60 meter was the size of the telescope, 60 meter long, which is a very, this is the setup for the telescope.
Jeez.
Oh no, it's amazing, man. I mean,
so if it's that long, how did they ever change the elevation of it, or did it just always only look at one elevation?
It was only look at one elevation, one single object, which was the moon, and then I don't know why they destroy it, like Don Petty said about the technology of NASA.
They destroyed it, huh?
They take out the project. Really curious thing.
Is it a world fair? No, or not? Is that a world fair?
Yes, it's a world fair. Yes, this is a setup. So the person get into, I believe, was into here. You need, yes, and then you have all the. It's insane, man. I mean, it's insane. This is the. Cool. Here you can see all the straight path of the telescope. Look at the mirror.
Of course, you're going to destroy something like this, right? It's not unique. It's like a building.
Oh my goodness.
But the thing is that you imagine. Sorry, Karen. Sorry. Go ahead.
Can that mirror be like a death ray? Like, what if they point? Look at, they could move it around.
Yes.
What if they reflected the sun off it? They could burn. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can burn your eye right away. But I don't think they use in the daylight. I believe they only use in the nightlight.
Thank goodness.
But the thing is that when you see this kind of thing, you imagine that, okay, well, we can see the flag of United States. I know at that time the United States doesn't reach the moon yet, but that is the kind of resolution that maybe we have with this huge, super huge telescope. Well, no, the fact is that the moon was look like this. So
that came off of it?
Yes.
Well, that doesn't.
So for me, this is, the atmosphere is the lens or the screen that you are filming. So everyone see the same way because that is the top line. You're just filming a projection of an object at that height. Mm-hmm. That is why I showed in some other last week show, I believe was, I don't recall exactly the day, but when you see the moon from a stratospheric balloon passing all the atmosphere layer, you just see a tiny, tiny white point.
So small.
Super small. And if you compare with a real life experience, for example, when you are driving in the straight road with open landscape, you can see the moon rising is huge, super huge in comparison when you have over your head. And that happened because the atmosphere is a lens or screen or whatever you want to call it. So every observation that we made here from the ground to the sky is going to be an apparent object, super magnified and blah, 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 blah. So I just showed this for the purpose of the show. And then I believe I have something, I talk about the setup of the cameras that they use to fake the spherical Earth, how they create and how they set up, because all the cameras that they use 4K cameras, man. Why NASA never used that in the rockets? You can put a camera like this, and then in some part of the flight you can just take away the camera, and with a parachute you make land it on the sea, on the ocean, whatever you want, and you take the camera and say, we have for the first time in 2020 a 4K video from space. We are, still justify that type of thing. The people start justifying that we don't see the stars because the aperture of the lens is not set up for that. It's insane. It's insane. So they really take care how they set up that thing, because they put in this manner, because that is the correct way to have the horizon more in the top area of the film frame, so you're going to have more pronounced effect in terms of the lens distortion. So they create this mock-up rig of the space craft or the capsule space. So they test all the camera angles because they want to tell a good story, and that is on purpose. And because when you use this type of cameras, they say here that they create this special environment for the cameras, but the fact is that if you have a straight horizon and you go up in the sky and you put the horizon line on the top part of the film frame, when you apply lens distortion like a fisheye lens or things like that, you're going to have more pronounced, let me just go
curvature,
up.
Of course.
Yes, you're going to have more pronounced curvature. So of course they using this, and the only time that you see like a level camera, it's just from inside the capsule, and that is why you can determine that at that height you cannot see the curve because the Earth is flat, of course. but also because all these guys really planning things. They work with NASA, they work with SpaceX, with Blue Origin, with Virgin Galactic. They are not
not
dumb,
by mistake,
Again, sorry, Jonathan?
It's not a mistake.
No,
it's by design.
No, there's not a mistake. No, everything is super planned. Everything. They are master of the seats. They put a little alien in the control room for that day, and they film it.
Yeah.
And they film it. And well, here is the guy explaining things. And just for, can I have 5 minutes more?
You may have 6.
Okay, thank you. So I showed this, and for example, when you go to the Flightline Films YouTube channel, they only have a very poor videos. Something that we can address is, for example, because they also work for Samsung. Everything that is official and they need to show space, they contract the Flight Films guys. Okay, so we can analyze this. But before, something that for me at least is, well, here you can see the test of the fisheye lens in that orientation with the capsule.
The capsule will level off. I'm going to open that door and it will step off that capsule, free falling back to Earth and breaking the speed of sound. Then I will pull my parachute and land on the ground safely.
He's an actor. He's very well connected with high-ranked people, Freemasonry people. I don't know if you know about that, but he's a military guy and he is in connection with that type of people. It's not just a regular guy, a sport guy who wants to break the soundbar. And this guy was the first that NASA, he was the first guy behind making the first jump at 34 kilometers up in the sky. So this guy drives all the mission and is an ex-employee of the military industry. So they keep everything is in secret or compartmentalized without any doubt, you know. Another thing is, and maybe I can take this example for clarify, because I know there is a lot of people that believes that this guy make a mistake because you can see a jump with the brand of Red Bull.
That's not true. Yeah.
Okay, that is because they practice 2 jumps,
right?
2 real jumps, and there are different days and different missions. That is why you can see those different stickers. And then the other thing is this: these guys for me are amazing. They are the best motherfuckers in the space agency's world.
Everybody take a shot. All right, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, because these guys from France, they never even worry about showing the exactly the same footage. One, another time.
Remember that one that you had from years ago that you had, how many you had that was the same footage, 6 or 7?
More than 30 from the beginning, of the company. And that is why I say that they film from real, and then they use that and make this adjustment in compositing software. That is my opinion based on what I'm researching. But let me just put it more clear. What I'm talking is, because I have my folder of all these craps, the satellites, because Argentina sent like 10 rockets with these guys. So they keep the money from all those rocket launchers.
They usually sell stuff
we don't have extra money
South America, right?
Yes, they specialize. Yes, they specialize with the third world countries. They are not dumb. That's for sure. But what I'm saying is, these guys from the beginning of the Ariane 5 rocket mission, they are all the time. They use the same footage at the same, approximately at the same time. They shoot the same footage. It doesn't matter what mission it is. So I stopped because I get bored, of course. I stopped the last flight that I, go live and share with the Spanish community was the VA243. All right. Now I'm showing the 252, and take a look.
9 kilometers a second.
Yes, it is. Do you know why?
Tell me why, Josh.
Tell me why, George. No, these guys are amazing, man. This is the best one.
Speed of just over 2 kilometers, you'll see the speed. So we are currently going at a speed, our launch is going at a speed of just over 2 kilometers a second, and we are at an altitude of 100 kilometers. This is the crucial altitude, isn't it, Josh? Because it's the altitude where there is no more heat or friction to bother our passengers.
So at that altitude is no more heat or friction, but down from that point where the space shuttle, take apart the primary booster and things like that, there's still heat and friction.
Right, plenty of it. All right.
And that thing is, come on, guys. Well,
what's going to happen?
Do you know the altitude we need, speed, we need to separate the satellites?
I think it's 9 kilometers a second.
Yes, it is. Do you know why?
Tell me why, Josh.
It's because the satellites are going into geostationary orbit, and that is the speed, roughly.
And they use the same thing.
Wow.
The same video, the same thing, one more time. So they don't show to the public, they don't show nothing that is a direct confirmation.
That's ridiculous.
More than the space shot, the rocket part, the launch part, that is a real thing. But they shoot the same video feeds, the same video footage with the same God rays, and everything is the same thing. The clouds,
at which the Earth turns. And the geostationary orbit means the satellites are hovering over one particular point on the Earth.
So this is the biggest scam ever made to humanity.
What else do people need to see? I don't understand where, somebody like Carlos Pagan, is this also have to do with perspective? Is that is this, you can't clearly see that they're faking each of those?
Yes, perspective of how you live your life.
Exactly. Wow. Hopefully, I almost want you to start over and explain this again, because people don't realize what you're saying. Explain what VA 219, 222 is on the right-hand side.
Again, okay. This is the Ariane 5, one of the biggest space company from Europe, because Europe used Ariane space program to put in orbit all the satellites, like the Galileo satellite, all the space, the Europe Space Agency. It's this one. It came from France. Nobody, Spain, Portugal, England, Germany, whatever, they don't have the capability to launch a satellite in orbit. So this is the NASA from Europe. And the NASA from Europe, from the beginning of the space missions of the Ariane 5, because you have Ariane 4, Ariane 3, but if you go and trying to find records from that type of early times, you will not find any video footage. The Ariane 4 is just the rocket launch part, and they just, go to TGI directly. So the Ariane 5 program was the first time that we as a people, as civilian, can see supposedly the real-time event. So from the beginning, from the first launch to our days, which passed 252 launches, they show the same exact footage. Anytime they say, well, we are reaching the altitude to, take apart the head of the rocket, the fireys, I don't know how you call it, this part of the rocket, they use the same thing. Here you can have, for example, the supposedly the Intelsat 33E and the Intelsat 36, which was launched in the 24th of August of 2016. We don't have a direct confirmation that this satellite is in space, because they show the same thing video every time.
Have you
2008,
seen
2015.
what say to this?
They don't have to show you nothing. They are not obligated to respond
to this.
Exactly. And
right. They just say they're hiding something.
Whatever. This is the last one that they have upload to their YouTube channel, which was 18th of February 2020, because then came the coronavirus and all that kind of thing. So they show the same thing. I mean, the only real part is just this. And the thing is, it's at night, and you show a footage from day.
Well, it's flying so fast it got around to the day side, you know.
Yeah.
So these guys, you know, with how the French people are, you know.
It just goes to show you. I mean, they don't even really need to try. They don't even really need to do anything other than give you the idea that they're launching things up there, to give you the idea that they're releasing satellites, and that's all it takes. And people just won't get it. And I guess, I mean, I would love to talk to people who work for them and be like, what is your answer to this? And I think Ira's right. They're going to say, we're doing science. We don't have the obligation to show you video. There's the video. We launched it into the sky. And yeah, we might show you a cut film from another launch in the past, but it's just to kind of give you an idea of what's going on up there, because we don't have any obligation to show you today.
Yeah, but they pretend it's live, though. They have their live commentators for each.
That's the problem. And you know, I've already shown that numerous times. You know, there was one. I don't know if you guys remember where they launched something up, and then supposedly the story was days later that it crashed. But you can watch the video of them describing the whole launch as if the whole thing went off fine and no problem, and it's in orbit and everything's good. And then the next day they come back and say, "Oh, it crashed right at the beginning," because somebody saw it crash. So they had no choice but to say it crashed. But it's like, well, why are these NASA guys talking about it like it's going up there and everything's going fine? Why? Is because they just go off the monitors. And, you know, I've showed the quote many times before where no controller sitting at any computer station would ever be able to tell the difference between a real launch and a mock launch. None.
Exactly. And if that is your answer, well, they don't need also to show nothing. You know, why they do this
right. Why even show anything? Yeah.
To show what? To who?
Yeah,
to who respond?
Right, they don't have an obligation to show me
people,
anything.
well, respond this type of question too.
Yeah.
If you're doing this like for the civilians to, you know, say, hey, we put this in orbit, well, and stop doing these kind of things, man.
It's remarkable as well that the astronauts, they report, I have an echo of myself coming back, but they report not knowing the difference between the simulation and the actual launch.
Yes, exactly. Yes, in terms of the telemetrics that they receive and the telemetry they receive and everything like that. That is why you saw this guy so relaxed, because they are just waiting that everything happen automatically.
Right. There's no threat of something happening on the screen.
Man. He is tweeting, Facebooking, whatever. And here you can see what we talked about early. It's a straight path. It's a straight path. Simply as that. Of course, it's not at this altitude or whatever. But the thing is that if you take into distance, for example, if this is, you know, Cape Canaveral, you take a rocket launch, you know, so 30 kilometers, 50 kilometers go in the straight path. How much the rocket needs to get out from Cape Canaveral in a straight path to go outside of the sphere? Right. So the thing is, for example, I like to compare with these type of things. They never, unfortunately, because this is only civilian guys, anytime that you film, you know, from a plane, a rocket launch,
right,
they are a few kilometers more high than a commercial plane, at least until the point that camera cut.
When the camera
and
always
unfortunately,
cuts.
I have more than 10 videos from planes, and nobody show, you know, nothing.
No, they all get tired of filming it right after 30 seconds.
Yes. So this is one of the 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And the thing is that you need to, you know, take into consideration is, first of all, the path is, you know, it's not a straight path. Okay. This is not vertical, because in the theory, you don't need to do that. That all we agree. So it's going up, it's going up, it's going up, it's going up. And then, and this is with maybe cell phone camera. So that at that point, this thing it's going 8,000 kilometers per hour. That is their own math. And the guy is filming with a hand, with a cell phone from a plane.
Yeah, he doesn't have
Amazing.
He doesn't have the super telescope, thing that we saw
No.
at the beginning.
No.
Right.
Maybe he is Steven Spielberg, and we don't know that.
Could be.
Okay?
James Cameron,
Could be.
we don't know.
Yes, so here he films the pad from the ground, all the show, the show must go on, and then it's not more any propulsion or thrust.
Yeah.
So that tiny, at that point, maybe they start the second stage. And how much you can live from leaving the sphere with the second
Right.
stage.
Now you're gonna blast off into orbit. Come on.
I mean, he's got over 430 miles to go.
Exactly. So where are you gonna go?
Barely going up.
There you have another one, for example. And this is a very low altitude plane because this is not a commercial plane. This is like a private jet. So maybe it's not even more than 8 kilometers, 8 kilometers above the sky, above the ground. So there you can see the curved path of the rocket. It's keep there. It's more horizontal, and then
it cuts off.
You can see anymore. You cannot see anymore. It just disappear because, of course, they use materials, reflective material, to camouflage with the sky, and you don't see even more thrust. At this point, this rocket is no more than 20 kilometers, and boom, disappear. The guy he don't know what more else to film.
Well,
So it's
what
gone.
are the other things in the sky? There seems
So
to be
now it's
other-
in space. Now it's from the other side of the Pacific. It's right now in the space.
But what are those dots up there? Is that craft or something that?
I don't
are
think there are UFOs. I believe
Or-
there are just commercial planes,
Other commercial planes up.
Yeah, exactly. If you can, but if you start compare the speed of the other planes
It's the
with the
same.
speed of the rocket,
Right? Yeah.
what they are talking about, man? It's insane. It's insane. So the rocket disappeared. There is no more.
Those planes have to be higher than the rocket, right?
Well, you can argue about the perspective,
Perspective,
thing,
yeah.
but at this point, he traveled in time. It's the only explanation that I found.
And show the path of where that plane would be going down. I mean, you can just follow the path, and of course, like you said, they make it so you can't see it that far. You can watch that cloud of smoke, but then look at that path. Where is that going to head?
What?
This
Maybe it's
protein
in,
in the lines.
in your back chart. This is
They probably
another
think
one.
They probably think it makes a curve up at some point.
Oh boy, this
So
guy's
this
watching it from the plane, watching it launch on his TV screen, and then he's going to take it out of the window. Oh boy.
Yes.
I
Well,
believe- I believe
what
it.
a synchronization, right?
Oh, just
So you're going to
synchro.
reach the sun.
The sun is right there.
Yes. Look how the steam of the rocket is completely still, and we are supposedly rotating, right? It's a column of smoke, completely still. There is no even.
Fireworks, man.
So you can see this, and keep going, keep going,
Definitely
keep
not
going.
picking up speed at all.
And remember, man, this is a space shuttle. The type of rocket that we analyzed at the beginning, and at that altitude, is no more thrust. Disappear, travel in time.
And what do people think that? I mean, how high is that? I mean, double the height of the plane, maybe. So
Triple. If you want to, you can go
triple,
4
so-
times, whatever, man.
It's not 4 times.
There are still.
I mean, I'll give you possibly double, maybe triple. So if the plane's 30,000, that's 90,000 feet. Maybe, and that's giving you a lot. That's really giving you. It's not 250 miles. Jokers.
The only explanation, like I mentioned before, I know nobody get my joke, is Travel in Time by Doc Emmett Brown.
No, that is. We heard you. It's the
Wow.
flux capacitor.
Okay. Yeah. The multiplexer capacitor.
Multiplexer, demultiplexer. It's got to be.
And look how much time. This is a good one, because from this point in time, for example, this one, this was the last time you saw the thrust at 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Okay.
So you have almost 4 minutes and 30 seconds and no other secondary stage burn or nothing. That just disappear and supposedly at that moment reach the 20,000 kilometers per hour to break the...
So if you pause it right there, I don't understand the path. The path is supposed to keep going off to the upper left of the screen, like 11 o'clock on a clock. That's what the path we're supposed to believe.
Like
yeah, right.
And keep going, and you pass Hawaii and keep going, and you smoke with Bob Marley, and then you reach space.
Oh boy, I don't know what people think, but again, it's really easy to tell a story that disappears at the closet wardrobe. I hate to keep using that example, but it is the same. You can tell people a lot of things if you say, well, yeah, after the wardrobe begins, at the closet entrance begins a magical land.
Hey guys, this mouse has a red tint, but it's not underneath the sun. Like, because the spherical, the globe head said that we saw the red in the bottom part of the cloud because the sun is,
Right, excellent point.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all, and that is perspective.
Yes, whatever.
Well, I mean, we describe it with the sunset a lot of times. People always think that the color that you see is, it's like when you see purples or pinks at sunset. If somebody's standing underneath those clouds, they don't see purple and pink.
No.
That's just.
And here disappeared. Yeah, the guy made zoom.
The previous video.
The tiny capsule.
Oh, there's a tiny.
Going from the inertia. It's just from.
So it's just going with inertia and then gonna fall.
Yeah. It's gonna fall. Yeah, there you have it.
In the previous video, it was interesting. It was the sun, how it was right over the craft, and the flares that were happening there. That was the most interesting part of it. Incredible. And these are all, that make a really good case for, is what Jaron said. What else do you need to see after you see the fraud of these rockets? What's going on there? I mean, how can they be so sloppy as well with so much money? It's incredible. But yeah.
This is another one that the rocket is coming towards the camera. So this is a very interesting one because it came from the horizon in a straight path, straight ascending path, if you want to be more technical. And this is behavior of the atmosphere, and the rocket is coming to the plane. So you can see passing over your head, and maybe be careful.
Watch out.
They can hit you.
So it's going to stop thrust again.
I believe that is the last thing. With that type of thrust, you cannot reach 27 kilometers, 27,000 kilometers per hour and leave to space.
Yeah, and we saw with the sounding rockets that what seems to be that the fuel doesn't even burn. It just disappears, right? It's not able to burn any fuel.
No. Here you see the path is a parallel line with a little more of some degrees ascending, of course. Mm-hmm. But this is the guy from the plane, typical altitude, and it's a straight path. And maybe this is why I say that
horizontal.
What we see, horizontal, but what we see from the camera, from the rocket, which is something like this type of spreading, gases or the combustion that they produce, can help to keep in that straight path until, reach out. But nothing more than that. It's just a rocket, Mm-hmm. They are not even burning. Maybe some kind of propulsion without the technical stuff of burn. Maybe it's like a compressed gas, like a balloon de-inflated, what I mean? Mm-hmm. But again, we are on 2020, man. We have the technology to create a missile and, take out of your view.
Right.
It's not.
Well, I mean, the one missile that Putin
because it
had,
wouldn't
that
take
was
much.
the-
It wouldn't
that
take
was the
much.
winner.
Yeah, it wouldn't take much to get out of your view anyway. I mean, how many miles would it need to go? 1,000 would be super plenty, and way more than you could see.
Yeah, there you have all the. And unfortunately, the only one that this is a SpaceX launch, also from a plane, and then stop the first stage. This is the second stage. It's passing over. It's passing over your head, and then stop the secondary burn. And now he's entering this propulsion phase, and done. And SpaceX, I believe, I remember that they make a film from, was from a plane, but they filmed from a balloon. And unfortunately, it's very bad one. But when I'm see that type of thing, I wonder why they cannot, they don't keep doing this. Why they don't offer a good show? If everything is true and they try it before, why they don't get better in that technique?
You would think so.
That is why the industry of filming, develop, giving more better stuff to the people. Maybe you can say pay-per-view. So pay-per-view, a rocket launch from a balloon of 30 kilometers, and pay-per-view, a jet plane, a military jet plane following their space rocket, whatever. They cannot do it, because if they do it, everyone's going to see that it's just a simple rocket. Let me just show that stratospheric balloon from SpaceX. I believe was this one. It was 2015, and you can see this is the coast of Florida, I believe, and that tiny steam column is the rocket. And if you just, I'm going to going forward, you can see the same behavior. So look how much land they still have to, fly to go out. This is just 300 kilometers.
And think about when they talk about
less from this point to this point.
Yeah, and think about how they talk about the globe and how high up the ISS is, and so think about where that is and where it still has to go. That it's going so fast, it's falling around the planet. Get out.
And spoiler alert, the horizon is flat, even filming from SpaceX. So you can see, let me just go in with the mouse, that tiny thing is going to reappear again because I'm trying to stabilize. So that tiny thing, without any more propulsion, no more thrust, is going to what? To getting out? So there you have it. There you have it. Look how much time passed. That thing is almost static. Maybe it's going that way, not this way, but that way is the same thing. You have a long, long way to the top if you want to be a space rocket man. Yeah, man, this thing.
Oh, God.
So it's still there. It's still there. Still there. And you know why? You know why? No, I don't know why they never film completely. They just stop filming there. Oh, boy.
Right.
What about the luck we have, right?
Well, I think we know why.
Well, that is your conspiracy theorist.
This is my mind, yes.
This is
hey,
here.
I'm crazy, man. I think the Earth is flat. I'm crazy.
This is a film on 2008 of July from the Flatline guys with infrared camera and the same guide that we talked at the beginning of the presentation. Just that, and I don't have any more. And I believe the only thing that I left to show is very, very quickly, because I believe it's related with, this is here, I have it here. Here we have. So the thing that every time that we said this is just a missile, this is from the Chinese company, launching a rocket missile. It's not a missile, it's a rocket. This is supposedly filmed from a satellite from outer space.
Is that what they say?
Yes.
Oh.
No, this was the Russian rocket launch. Of course, accelerating the video footage, right?
Right.
Why they stop there? If they are the Russian space agency company, and they start filming this from satellite, why they stop there? Why they don't keep showing how the rocket, the Soyuz, leave the Earth? No, they just stop there. This is the rocket, and right away the rocket is going into the clouds. Not into the clouds, a little more up from the cloud, but in a straight path. And now is a missile. In the straight path. You can detect from the movement of the camera.
Wow.
And stop there. So this is what I'm talking about. Here you have the Chinese company. This is from a satellite, they say. Of course, it's a drone or helicopter or whatever. This is from the ground, and this is just a comparison from NASA rocket launches. So there you have the curved initial path, and then it took the straight path and take out of view. And that is what we see here. It's just a regular missile rocket reaching out of the view, stabilizing, put in the horizontal mode, and keep going until the fuel stop. They calculate the fuel that they need to reach the target, which could be the ocean or whatever. That is all they need. That is why you're never gonna see going out to space. It's just flying over the land underneath. It's a parallel trajectory to the ground, like a plane.
And then coming down.
And it's coming down.
How far do you think they launch them? What do you think? Couple thousand? Yeah. What do you think they can do? How far can they send a missile? You think in your mind?
Maybe 2,000 kilometers, 1,000 kilometers.
Yeah.
Very easy.
Yeah.
It's a missile. So
that one, the Chinese one, did they show it landing somewhere?
I don't have the video. Look at the path of the SpaceX, man. I mean,
well, that's the one I was talking about earlier when I said when you look at the side view, you realize that it's not going up at the times they say it's going up.
And this is a missile trajectory. This is a rocket launch from a missile, and it's doing the same thing. This part that we think it's going down is not going down. It's going straight. It's going straight. But from our perspective, it's appeared to going down.
Mm-hmm. That's what Carlos is talking about. He's saying that that's what we're seeing, but to say it's going up is another story.
Exactly. Here you have another one. I believe this is another one. This was
supposed to be a
combination. How they could put the Iridium satellite on space. Sorry, Rodrigo, what?
Sorry, no. I was just saying they could use a combination of these rockets and missiles. Some there, because some did look like balloons. There was one that exploded and stuff. Who knows what is it? I would think even that some would be scaled down models that they seem to look bigger. But yeah, I think it definitely what you're saying should be happening as well. That the SpaceX one going straight, I mean, it's just like that. This one is just like the Chinese one that you're showing.
And even right here, they would still be saying it's going up. And then
going up, but where?
Right.
Because look at the ground underneath. Look at the city. So, okay, it's going up. But where is going, man? It's not a sphere. You cannot leave.
But here, if they had the height on this one, it would keep saying it's going up. Now they would say it's 50 miles. Now they'd say 60. Now they'd say 80. Keep going, it would say 200. Now it's at 250 miles. Now it's at 290 miles. Like now it's at 350. Now it's at 450. When it's
and there you go. And then what? They stopped filming that. But yes, it's a very interesting topic. For me, no doubt, it's just a missile technology, you know, without any direct confirmation that these things reach space. It's completely irrelevant how many times you show rocket launch. They never can reach the speeds that you need to leave space. That is from start. Show me something that can reach that space before entering into the no atmosphere of space, and then we can start talking. Remember, man, this thing is going supposedly 10,000 kilometers per hour.
Right.
I don't know. It's crazy.
It moves just like an airplane velocity kind of thing.
I'm gonna stop sharing.
Okay.
Okay. Perfect.
I will pick it back up for you here. Oops. No, I don't know what screen I'm on. There we go. All right. I'm trying to think of what else I had. I didn't have much else. I wanted to talk about the launch, obviously. These so-called heights it says it was at. I'm sure people saw the story, but if you didn't, you might want to check it out. That some court documents have been unsealed, and Bill Clinton, of course, is alleged to have been on the island of Epstein, which we've known. And there's documents basically now coming out saying Dershowitz helped negotiate an agreement basically with the accused so that he could keep himself away from any criminal prosecution. Basically giving himself immunity and anybody else involved. But this is a conversation here. Oops, am I showing people? Yeah. Conversation with one of the witnesses talking about, he told me a long time ago that everyone owes him favors. They're all in each other's pockets. And they said, well, when you say you asked him, why is Bill Clinton here? Where was here? She says, on the island. When you were present with Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton on the island, who else was there? She says, Ghislaine, Emmy. There was 2 young girls that I could identify. I never really knew them well anyways. It was just 2 girls from New York. And you were all staying at Jeffrey Epstein's house on the island, including Bill Clinton? Yes, that's correct. He had about 4 or 5 different villas on the island, separate from the main house. We all stayed in the villas. Were sexual orgies a regular occurrence on the island at Jeffrey's house? Yes. So I will include that link. You can read more about that if you want. If you're interested in that subject, which we, of course, know what's going on and that these guys are all extremely bad people. But, teach their own. As far as the, I wanted to get Iru's opinion on this whole hydroxychloroquine debate and these doctors and whether or not you think it's some sort of controlled opposition. A lot of talk about, I don't know if people saw, but the lady, this doctor here that was part of it, she just got fired. So again, to all the people saying, why don't more people speak up? If this is true, why aren't there more doctors? Why is it only 10 doctors? Why is it only 20 doctors?
Why they don't talk about chlorodeoxide?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
they
know
only talk about big pharma components. I am not saying there are, the controlled dissidents, no, but right. I think they are repeating something that was planned, was injected into the doctors' group, the idea of using hydroxychloroquine, which is produced by Novartis and Safoni, and the remdesivir, which is something that also, with the hydroxychloroquine, Donald Trump has actions, stock market actions with those companies. That's my opinion, very short opinion, sorry.
Yeah, they're still going to get rich off that stuff. And why isn't anybody talking about whether or not the virus is even real or whether or not germ theory is even a legitimate thing?
Well, because we know why. I mean, you can't, if you're a doctor and you're not even allowed to say, right, there should be some, let's say that, let's believe all this stuff and say that there's some debate about what is the correct way to treat the disease. Let's play dummies and say that that's the debate. Well, it should be allowed that doctors have a debate about which medicine is better, right? I mean, it should be allowed. So the fact that they've already showed that if you question or you go against the mainstream, you get fired. This girl's gone now; she's lost her job as a. And I'm not, again, I'm not interested in arguing with anybody about whether that's true or not. You can go follow her. She's a doctor at a emergency place down in L.A. It's not going to be that they're faking that. She did work as an emergency room doctor. She no longer works there. She's been fired. So, she's going to take out lawsuits or whatever. But my point is, you're not even allowed to debate what would be allowed in a regular setting. So to then ask the question of why is nobody debating germ theory? Well, it's obvious. I mean, how would you ever, if you can't keep your job for questioning medicine, that should be simply, obviously that should be allowed. Any doctors, if I have two doctors and they want to talk to each other about which medication is better for Jaren, and again, I'm playing devil's advocate here because I don't go to a doctor. I don't need them prescribing me medication. I've found other ways to take care of my health now that I realize what the medical industry is. Right. So that's where we all are. So we have to put ourselves, we understand that. But I'm saying from a perspective of an outsider, all I get from everybody is whenever I bring up any of these things is they'll always say, well, why aren't more scientists saying the earth is flat? Why aren't more doctors saying COVID is fake? If what you're saying is true, Jaren, and we don't need to wear masks, why aren't more doctors saying that it's not important? Why aren't more doctors saying that germ theory is fake? And it's very clear to me that you can't even speak out against something as mainstream as whether two doctors can agree on the correct diagnosis or remedy for somebody, right?
Yeah, they control all the hospitals, right?
With flat Earth, we've been going through this with flat Earth already for years. It's the same now. It's the same thing with this whole germ theory thing.
That's all I'm trying to point out to people, and it's not a matter of whether because I do think this is a lot of hoopla and a lot of nonsense, obviously. But the reason why is because they're even showing people that you can't even debate. What's his name on Twitter? Put it out and gets his account shut down to Trump Jr. But what I'm saying is, whether you believe that or not, that's not the important part. The important part is that you have to realize now it's everywhere that you cannot speak against the direction that they want people going, right? So they come up with a destination that they want. And it used to be, well, they'd have to have a hard time getting it there. And I've even heard people say, well, they have to get our buy-in. Until we all agree on something, they can't put it into place. That's no longer the case.
But the thing is, like we saw some doctors talking about this. Many doctors have probably lost their jobs. The pharmaceutical companies control all hospitals. Most of the funding from all the hospitals, I think, are linked to them, so they can just do whatever they want, really.
Right. So when you have these doctors, and whether you agree with them or not, and I don't, but when you have these doctors stand up and they start talking, and then some of them are going to start being fired. If they don't have their own practice, if they're basically working for a hospital or working for some urgent care facility. And that's all these are. These are just doctors. Like if you went to your local urgent care or you went to your local hospital because you had something, I don't know, you have pneumonia and you go in the middle of the night to the emergency room. These are the doctors that you would see there. They're not super specialists. They're doctors. People have medical degrees. People went to medical school. But again, if those people aren't allowed to have conversations, which is proving that they're not, and whether or not this is set up or not, let's say that it's completely set up. It's all set up. The point that they're making, the point that the mainstream is making, is now nobody can speak out against anything. And Karen's exactly right. We've already noticed this with Flat Earth, and it's appalling. And it should be the biggest eye-opening thing. And I talked about it, recently on a lot of shows that at least if you're an American, then you understand that there is the Bill of Rights. There are the First Amendment, the Second Amendment. They're very important to me because they're there for a reason. If we lose those, then everything's gone. And you're talking about the very first two amendments, one of them being the freedom of speech, the second one being the freedom to carry guns. They're both so important and integral. And if you give up either one of them, you're toast. And now not only are we giving up, and I'm not saying it's us who's giving up our First Amendment, but they're completely taking it, and you've got 50% of the country that agrees with that. 50% of the country, at least if you agree with 50%, left, right, whatever, there's all these people now all of a sudden that say you're not allowed to speak out against the direction we're going, which is completely ridiculous. You've got CNN and other news companies coming out saying what these doctors are saying should be censored. Think about that. These are journalists. Journalists who are saying that things should be censored. It's the most ridiculous nonsense I've ever seen, whether it's real or not, whether you want to believe that it's completely fantasy or whether you want to believe there's some realism to it or not. It doesn't matter. You just have to look at the line that's being played here, the game that's being played, the theater that's being shown in front of you. And the theater is, we're going to take away these rights, and if you try and stop us, you're going to be cancel cultured, this is shut down, you're not going to be able to compete, you're not going to be able to make money, you're not going to be able to exist in their framework. That's the line that's what they're showing people. So whether it's real or not isn't really as important to me as, well, if this is all theater, look at the act that we're in. You know? Look what's being played.
That should be waking people up too. People should be pissed off about that. If people, I mean, that should be pissing people off, whether it's fake or not. Either way,
right?
That's
what I'm trying to say. Because I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, it's fake. Don't worry about it." I'm like, okay, I understand that, and we can take that predicament, but I can't just keep saying that, because the act that's being shown, the play that's being played out, is clearly one that says there is a direction that we are going. There is a direction we're taking humanity. Most people call it the One World Order. Some people call it the Illuminati. Some people say it's the, satanic Luciferian. Whatever you want to say in that regard is the same to me, because it is a direction that they're taking the world. And if we just sit back and say, well, it's all theater, well, maybe theater, but do you see what act is going on? Do you see the end game of the play? It's pretty scary.
Yeah, they're programming. They're socially engineering people to be beaten down.
100%.
And to submission, and to be silenced, and 100%. To be okay with being forced into doing all kinds of crap that is horrible for them.
100%.
You know what? I hope that this doctor that got fired, I hope she is a real doctor, and I hope she really did get fired, and I hope that it motivates her to get out of allopathic medicine, because the whole system is a freaking scam.
Right.
Just because I've been talking about this the last few streams that I've been doing, is like allopathy. When you look up what allopathy is, which is the type of medicine which is considered to be traditional Western medicine, all it means is that they give you something that produces side effects other than the cause, or different than the cause. It doesn't say anything about curing you or improving your health overall. It just tries to change what's happening to you, to give you different effects, and then it suppresses the symptoms that you have, because it's not curing it, and then it produces even worse side effects, because it's like when you neglect a problem in your vehicle or something, and it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse because you just keep ignoring it.
Right.
It's the same thing.
That's the problem. I always say
there's nothing about this medical system that is healthcare at all.
Or at all. And neither is any of the medication that you buy in the store. The covering of symptoms is the worst thing you could possibly do. I mean, if you have a headache every day and you have to take, I don't know, Motrin, or you have to take Excedrin migraine, and you got to take 2 of them to fall asleep, those are, your body is sending you alarm signals with the headache that something is wrong. You need to do something. And by covering it up, what do you think is going to happen? You become a complete toxic person. And yeah, it doesn't surprise me that you end up sick and need to go to the hospital. Why? Because you didn't take care of yourself. And people need to understand that's what the goal would be of this medicinal system. That's what the goal is. So I totally agree with Karen, too, that this doctor, I really hope that these doctors, and I'm hoping more and more doctors, start to realize that they are pawns in the game and nothing more. They are the people that have been given the degrees. They've been taught the medical system for 8 years. These are great order followers. They're great direction takers, right? I mean, that's how you can sit in class for 8 years and become a doctor. You don't get celebrated for thinking outside the box when it comes to being an emergency room physician. Believe me.
Right, but even if they got into healthcare with the good intentions, which I believe most people do,
sure, almost all of them do, right?
They lied to about how our system works, how things really, really work.
Right.
They were lied to, and they were lied to about the way to go about treating these things that happen to people, and they were also lied to about what the cause of these things are.
Right.
Yeah, there's a big difference between the kinds of things that they have. Like if you break an arm and break a leg or break some ribs, you still go to the hospital, right? Some things work and some things don't. So
if
that's
you
different.
Mess yourself up and you have to be stitched back together, that is where hospitals have a purpose, right? Like if you break your arm or something, they can put you back together.
Right.
But in overall healthcare or general,
it's very different from other things.
Like that.
Right. Yeah.
Living, when you're just in general living, you shouldn't have to take pills for the rest of your life.
No, that's a completely different thing. I just wanted to make the distinction there, because
Absolutely.
healthcare falls in it's such a huge kind of term, but if when you start looking at these things and differentiate, you're going to see, for instance, like in cancer treatment, right, the chemos and that doctors get money for it. That here, they're saying here, there's activist groups that go against vaccines. They're saying that doctors here, they get paid to give vaccines to children.
They do.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, and making money from doing what nature does naturally. It's disgusting.
They do. And then these vaccines produce long-term effects over people's lives that they don't even tell you about or that you don't even know about.
You would never
know.
You
know, what was crazy here that we met a neighbor that was a naturopath, and she gave us this book. There's all this science about vaccines, and she said, because she saw us with the baby, and we started reading it, and it had account after account after account of mothers saying what happened to the baby after they gave the vaccine, ranging from, and Riza's like livid when she saw it. She's like, oh my goodness, if somebody gets close to me, the freaking eat, I'll kill them. Like, like you can see, that they give the thing, and then the baby has this kind of goes paralyzed or starts all kinds of different effects. Insane. So at least, here there's a lot of skepticism towards this. At least being a small country, I think it helps in that way. But
it's amazing too what they do to these people. I mean, once you speak out, man, you just get destroyed. I mean, this black lady here, I mean, she's just being tore up for saying that demons exist and people have sex with them and that's what causes miscarriages or whatever she said. And again, people should be able to have that debate if that's how she really feels. I don't care. Can she do a good job?
It's a cultural belief,
right.
And that is a quite interesting thing because there's research from anthropologists who lived in places in Africa with different kinds of groups, and that I can show at some point. But basically, what they're doing is comparing what happens when they give psychiatric treatment with the psychiatric drugs, and what happens when you talk to people according to their own beliefs and what's actually going on. It might include all sorts of spirits and so on, and how that treatment works. Many it works, and the other treatment with the psychiatric suppositions doesn't work at all. It's a total waste of time. They try to push into people. So I mean, buying into the science of the allopathic medicine comes with this whole materialism where there are no other beings that could cause ailments, right? Whereas in most traditional cultures that is not the case. There could be spiritual issues that can cause illness.
There's a lot of people I think are possessed, Denodal. Oh, sorry. Tell me that guy don't have a demon in him? Come on.
People are quite aggressive.
Oh, God, the guy's on one. But God told him about 9/11, and he just didn't tell anybody about it because you got to let that shit happen.
You probably put it in the golden plates like the John Smith, Joseph Smith.
That's the best story too, because when the person found him and then threw him all away, his wife, right? And he goes back and says, "Oh, now I got to do it again." He needs to rewrite him, and then I have to read him again. I can't just write it down again. It's the funniest story ever. It's just sad. I mean, the censorship that's going on. I mean, if people can't see it again, I mean, people are dropping from YouTube left and right, and how long will I be here? I don't know. I'm probably not on the radar enough as much as like Del Bigtree, who just does nothing but cites journals and documents and scientific evidence showing you over and over and over again that vaccines can't be trusted. Vaccines will make you sick. They'll make your child sick. They're not needed. Your immune system does a better job of it all on its own. You can only say that so long until you'll be shut down. So it's just becoming obvious, and all we can do is just keep speaking out about it. I don't know what else to tell people. Make channels, make videos, talk about it as much as you can, because I don't know how else to stop it. The only other option is for us all just to become pussies and go, and become part of the stream. I mean, I don't know what else you can do. So the other answer is you just have to stand up for what's right, because they'll just keep coming out with this nonsense. It's like the whole mask nonsense. It's just ridiculous, overly ridiculous. And now what's the new thing? Goggles, right? I mean, so we can laugh about that, but I mean, Karen, how long do you think that they start requiring people to wear goggles?
Oh no!
I don't know. I haven't seen any goggles yet.
I just saw somebody.
Only been out.
I saw somebody wearing something.
Today.
I saw somebody wearing something like this, although it was
People are
bigger.
liking those face mask things, right? Those face shields. They've already been wearing those.
Yeah, I've seen those
So
too.
everybody will just start wearing. Everybody's just gonna walk around with face shields on.
Man, what I mean.
Oof, it looks like the mask of Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah, it's so disgusting.
It looks like a weird slave mask thing.
Yeah, like a kinky slave mask.
That one is weird.
And then again, you try and have arguments with people,
bizarre.
and they've made it so it's impossible to win, right? I mean, they just, it doesn't matter that they said masks don't work before. It's like whatever they say now on the news is what needs to happen. It's so important. All these cases are popping up in California now. We need to shut everything down again, and people just do it. I was shocked when they shut everything down the first time, and I said, okay, some people are going to do this just because maybe they're being decent citizens. And what I mean by that is, like, if I had a hair salon, and let's say that I'm not awake, I'm just a barber, and I own a building, and I allow a couple barbers to cut hair with me, and I hear that there's a pandemic going on. You're like, what? There's a pandemic? People are dying? Okay. And then they say, we need you to shut down your business. Like, what I mean by a decent person who isn't awake is going to look around and say, like, all right, I'm willing to pitch in here, I guess. I'll shut down my business. And they shut it down. And then you start seeing the economy crash, and then you have time to start looking into this, and you have time to start exploring it yourself and finding out if people around you are getting sick, and drive to your local hospital and film your hospital and see that it's empty. Find out from family and friends that they're firing doctors and nurses. And then you start to wake up to this, and then they allow you to open back up. That's when I said, okay, now you're open, stay open. Stay open, because it's not a mandate that you stay closed. You're not going to get fined. You're not going to get in trouble. And I was shocked because when they closed everything down in California again, I said, let's go for a drive. I drove by and all the barbershops are closed. I mean, they're all going to go out of business. Because how much money can you possibly have saved? Maybe these guys have $20,000. I don't know. I'm assuming their rent is. And what's this whole thing with rent control? I mean, don't people realize that we're just prolonging the inevitable, right? Because I don't know about you guys. In California, you're not allowed to evict somebody right now. But that's going to end soon. And I don't know what happens. I lost my house. So what happens if you can't make the mortgage payment because you're not getting the rent that you have coming? Isn't everything just going to fall apart?
It sounds pretty scary.
So. I don't know. Jeremy Gann says it's becoming time to start moving close to other like-minded people, start physical communities. I think so too. I just think that that's difficult for people until they're forced to. But Karen's got the right idea. She lives in the country. She's doing the right thing. I mean, she's going to be fine for a while, even if the mainstream, like you talk about it, heads further south. For me, luckily, I'm not in a big city. I think there's a lot of people that are probably in pretty good places. And again, I talked about it yesterday, but really, it does come down sometimes to ignoring what you hear on the news and what you see everywhere. I mean, and what I mean by that is what you see in the newspapers or in magazine covers or in stores, because you really need to just go for a walk in nature. I mean, if Karen goes out today and shoots some guns in her backyard, and I ask Karen, how's life right now? Karen, aren't you going to say it's great?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, sometimes you have to really ask yourself, like, is it as bad as we think? Now, there are some things coming. I saw this one today. I don't know if you guys saw this article. Military to do joint venture with CDC to distribute the coming vaccines. So, I mean, this is the kind of story that you're going to see, and it's going to make you, get a little bit frightened. I don't sell fear porn, so my whole thing to people is just say no. It's very simple to just say no. I mean, they're not going to come knocking on your door and plunge needles into your arm, but they are going to make every attempt that they can to try a lot of different things. And by that, I mean, you're not allowed to fly, you're not allowed to go into stores, and you just have to keep saying no. And if enough of us say no, they'll change their direction. I mean, look what happened with Walmart, right? Walmart tried coming out saying, no, we're going to have mask mandates. And then within a couple days, I think there was enough people who threw fits where Walmart said, never mind, it's not worth it. Right?
Oh, I had an experience with the mask thing today that was kind of funny. I ordered a cable on Best Buy online to go pick it up online. And when I get to the store, I walk in and they're like, we require everyone who comes in the store to be wearing a mask. Is there something I can help you with today? Like they have a table set up, right? You have to walk in and go up to this table. And I was like, yeah, I have an online order that I need to pick up. She's like, okay, well, do you need to put on a mask or do you need a mask? And I was like, no, I don't wear a mask. And she's like, okay, well, you can go over there to pick up your order, but I just want you to know that it might not be very comfortable. And I was like, okay. She's like, just want you to know that. Like, what I'm supposed to be? Are you supposed to make me feel guilty now? I'm supposed to feel bad, like I'm offending you because I'm not wearing a mask. I'm making you uncomfortable. Does it make you uncomfortable if I don't have a mask on now? It's like, give me a freaking break.
Wow. And that is the thing, right? So making people feel uncomfortable, mostly because they have to. I mean, I would be so pissed off if I had, like I was telling my wife the other day, I mean, people have to remember, I used to be a store manager for a drugstore, for CVS. Before that, it was Long's Drugs. But if I was still in that position, I can't imagine how much I would hate life to have to enforce mask rules, to have to wear a mask myself every day. I used to work 10, 11-hour shifts. To have that mask on all day, every day, I would be furious. So if somebody came into my business without a mask on, you can bet your bottom dollar I would have been pissed. And I would be the guy saying, hey, we don't allow people in here without masks. Why? Because I'm pissed that I have to wear one. So that's what they've done to everybody. They've created these little like minions out there by infuriating them, right?
Yeah, and then right away she gets on the walkie-talkie and she's like, there's two women here who aren't wearing a mask. You know, like, who are you telling? You guys are going to walkie-talkie throughout the whole store? Oh my God, there's two women here. They're not wearing a mask.
Did you see the thing in the Congress where there was some exchange in the Congress where they're all wearing masks in the U.S. Congress, and one guy started speaking. They're like, "Put your mask on! What are you doing? Put your mask on!" It's like that's already going on. I thought it was like, holy shit, this is insane. This
ridiculous.
Yeah. And again, I mean, I wish I wouldn't even have, because I don't have a problem, and a lot of people might have a problem with me saying this, but I don't have a problem with recommendations. I really don't. I mean, the government can recommend whatever the hell they want to me, and stores can recommend whatever the hell they want to me, and Karen can recommend whatever the hell she wants to me. I don't mind. Karen can say, Jaron, I think it would be cool if you wore a mask. And I'd be like, okay, great. Yeah, I don't agree. And if the store says we recommend that you wear a mask, great. I don't agree. That's fine with me. It's the mandating where I have an absolute problem completely and totally. And so these mandates that they're putting out there are just requiring people. I don't have an option to vote with my money anymore, which is what I want. If a grocery store near me wants to, make me wear a mask, then I should have every right to take my business elsewhere. But there's not even any businesses that are welcoming my money. Why? Because it's mandated in the state of California that you require a mask for any indoor establishment. So, I mean, it just becomes, that's the problem I have. And, we go to this little street stand where, not a street stand, I mean, they sell produce in there, and they're on the street, I guess that's what it is. But they had a sign up months ago that said only 3 people in the thing at a time. That's fine, whatever. Okay, let 3 people go in. When 3 people are done, we'll go in. And just last week, we went in, and my wife and I, and they said, oh, we're now requiring masks. And I just simply said, if you're going to require me to wear a mask, I'm not going to come here anymore. Like, that's just the way it is. And they're like, oh, okay, never mind. We'll let you shop. It's like, all right, well, and it's just some little, some Asian people that run this little fruit stand. But, I mean, I'm sure they're being told, right? I mean, they had some sort of, I don't know what they would be, and I don't want to call them an investigator. Some sort of person that would come by and tell them, hey, these are the rules since you have, and it's like inside of a tent, so I guess it's an inside place, but I'm sure somebody came along and told them, hey, you need to have people wearing masks. But again, I'm able to tell them, hey, I'm not going to bring my money here, and then they change real quick. That's how it should be. But a lot of these businesses now are forced, right? And once you force them, that's what I'm talking about. Like if I worked at CVS and I was forced to wear a mask, and now I'm forcing my employees to wear masks, and now I have to force people to come in, you're just creating minions where, I mean, now the rules are dictated and enforced by other civilians. I never seen anything like it. And I don't know if it's going to go in a good direction or what.
I started having to call like food places if we want to go out to eat. I started calling them in advance and saying, "Do you require people to wear masks in the restaurant? Because we can't wear a mask." And I just ask them right up front. And so far, I haven't called any place that said, "No, you can't come here. No, don't come here."
Good.
That's going to be a problem.
Here's a recommendation there, and everybody should do this because Miss and I do the same thing. And when anybody ever says, "No, we don't," we tell them the reason that we're going there is because they said that. So if somebody says, like, "Hey, do you guys allow people there without masks?" Like, "Oh, we recommend masks, but we don't require them." Then we would say, "Thank you. The reason that we're going to your establishment is because you don't require masks." So it's just a good thing to kind of remind people that that's important to some people, and if they want business, they'll take heed, because otherwise people might think you're asking that because you only want to go there if they require masks. You know what I'm saying?
Right. The other way around.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean,
you got to make sure that they know that that's why you're giving them business.
Right.
Yeah,
otherwise, I'm afraid.
idea.
Otherwise, I'm afraid if you call somebody and say, "Hey, are you requiring masks?" They're thinking, "Oh, that person wants to only come if we are requiring masks." So I'm trying to make sure I don't give them the other.
I say because I'm not wearing one, I need to know if that's okay.
Good. That's the same.
Not taking any chances.
Right. I don't want to waste my time. I'm not going to go over there because, I did have an incident in Myrtle Beach because South Carolina is still a recommended state, but for some reason that county that Myrtle Beach is in voted to make masks required. And we had gone to a campground there at the beach and we went camping for a few days, and inside the campground, it's like it doesn't even exist. Nobody pays attention. Nobody enforces social distancing. Everybody's just hanging out at the beach having a good time. So we left and we were on our way back home, and we were stopped at this place to eat. And you go there and everybody's sitting outside eating with no mask on their face because you can't eat with a mask on your face. Right. And then there's people inside eating with no mask on their face. And we walk in to eat and they're like, I assume you have a mask. You all have masks. Around, and I'm like, no. Wow. Why would I need a mask? How do you eat with a mask on? And she's like, well, here, this outlines it all for you, right? So they have this sheet, and it says you need to have a mask on when you enter the restaurant, and when you talk to the hostess, and then from there to you get seated at your table, and then you can take your mask off and you can smack your food and lick your lips and do whatever you want to do and have your spittle fly all over your table with all your, Man, and I was like, this is ridiculous, and I kind of lost my temper there, and I was like, this is dumb. How are you people? And I just started yelling at everybody, and then I left. But yeah. So now after that, I avoid that situation and I call in ahead and
make sure you don't get filmed because I can already see it, and it would be Karen being a Karen or something.
I know. I know. It didn't get filmed as far as I know. Thank God.
Good. Yeah, it's getting disgusting. I just hope people are being strong in what they believe and what they want. And I know it's got to be difficult. I mean, I thank my lucky stars all the time that I don't have a job like I used to. Because I would be in a position where, imagine if I'm a store manager of a drugstore and I make $90,000 or $100,000 a year doing that, you don't have an option to say no. I mean, that's why I got basically let go of that job, is because I wanted to question the way they were doing things. I didn't like the way that they were treating customers and employees, and so they asked me to leave basically.
But there's one thing, right, Jaron? Just the way you realize you're not doing things right. The people who are forced to doing this, they will realize this as well. I think, that's pretty clear too. So it works against it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but that takes time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you're right, and I think people will realize that and do realize that, but they have no option. And sometimes you probably won't even see that. Like, for instance, I look back at my career, and I've often told people before, as bad as it sounds for me to say it, that if somebody would have come in and told me in my job, the earth is flat, I would have told them what difference does that make in my life. I still have to go to work, right? Like, was my mentality. So I know a lot of these people's mentality is kind of the same. Same thing with COVID. If somebody would have come in and said COVID's fake, I would have been, what are you, ridiculous? I run a pharmacy here. There's more and more people are getting sick, and we're having to do more deliveries, and look at my employees are having to wear masks, and people are buying gloves, and it can't be fake. So you sometimes can't realize the lie until you're out of that. So that's what I mean by it takes time, is I never realized all the things that were going wrong really until I was gone. And at that point, I was able to start looking into. I saw that we weren't treating people right, but I mean, as far as the actual, I mean, it's so ridiculous the amount of nonsense. I think I've told the story before where, you know, we were doing everything wrong with this PSE. CVS was doing all this stuff wrong with the PSE, which is what they use to make methamphetamines, as far as selling it to people without asking for ID and all this stuff. I mean, the amount of meth that was created because CVS did things wrong. And then when we finally got fined, it was like $70 million in California, and CVS just pays it like nothing. Right. I mean, they basically got a separate account set aside for when
just for this.
Right. When you have these lawsuits come up. But again, when you think about the years and years and years of CVS skirting the directives so that they could basically just sell this stuff to anybody, you know, because the system had a hard time, and we would just tell cashiers all the time, just run it through, just let it go, and just sell it, because we weren't doing it like we were supposed to. So I mean, I always tell that story because it's incredible. That this is how companies feel and how they act, and then you pay the $70 million, you don't care. You know, it's just the same thing with all these companies that do things wrong, do wrong by employees, right? Don't classify them correctly, don't pay overtime, all these things for years and years and years, and hundreds and thousands of employees, and then the class action lawsuits brought, and they end up paying $10 million in fines, right? But if they would have paid people correctly, it would have been $200 million that they would have actually had to pay. So this is how companies act. They're ridiculous. And yeah, I just feel bad for anybody in those positions, but you're right. I'm hoping that they see that they're doing wrong. I just don't know when that happens. Usually there's some catalyst. Something has to happen. That's why I think it's good that a lot of people are home right now. Not good, but I mean, it's good for waking up some people.
More time to think.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the reason why they work you to death, and you got to take your kids to 7 different soccer practices, and you're always busy, and then you get home and you watch a baseball game, and you eat dinner, and you go to bed, and you have to be back up at 5:30 the next day to go to work. There's a reason they do that, so you don't have any time to it's why they have all these distractions and stupid game shows, right? I mean, it's basically to keep you from sitting down and doing your own research. So I tell people all the time, do your own research.
Exactly.
Because when you sit down, we can all think of that. We can all look at our own journey and coming to and realizing truth. And we realize at some point we were able to sit down and do some research for ourselves. So if we didn't have that time, we wouldn't be here. We can all say that, I'm sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Anything else you guys want to talk about? Or I am going to close it down and head off to go swimming. Huh? Pool time. Awesome. Yes, exactly. Very excited now. I get to see what is the temperature. Is it hot? Watch. Today will be the one day it's not hot. Oh, that's 99. That's good enough. All right. Well, it's been like over 100 for the last couple of days, so I'll take 99. All right. Let's see here. Iru, are you still here, or did he leave? Iru, you have any?
Did for a while.
Final words. You've been quiet. All right, Karen, do you have anything coming up you want to tell people about, or where they can find you, all that fun stuff?
You can find me at my channel, Karen B, and I Tuesday I have Mark Sargent and Strange World coming up, and I stream it on D Live, and Unveiling This Realm Thursdays.
Sweet. What time is that show on Thursday?
It's about usually around 9:30 p.m. Eastern, so 6:30 your time, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I've been doing my show at like 3, and I wanted to make sure, just to be nice, that I wasn't crossing into your land. All right, cool. Okay, so everybody check that out, Karen B's channel, and Brian Stavely, catch all their shows. Rodrigo, what's coming up for you?
Just working on some writing still, and yeah, it's coming along pretty well. And yeah, thank you for having me. This is very interesting again.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Just trying to keep up with what's going on, man, and trying to make a living as well, and work, catching up with myself. Oh man. Ooh. Here we go. Hiru is back.
Hiru.
Yeah. I left, but I am with a friend, that the guy who rang my bell, and we are talking about the chlorine dioxide thing, how to prepare. We are discussing that thing.
Oh,
so sorry for my absence.
Mm-hmm. We're going to shut down early, so tell everybody. Oh, go ahead. Karen, sorry, I interrupted you.
I was asking him if that was MMS or if it was something else.
Yes, is the correct name, because if you say MMS, immediately is going to be accused of some miracle thing, and the patent
I bought the crystals to make my own as well.
Yes, it's called chloride dioxide, or I don't know how to pronounce in
chloride
English.
dioxide.
Yeah, dioxide chloride. That is how it's patented in real life, for a lot of treatments.
Dylan,
but it's the end of the show, yeah.
Well, thank you. And then I put in the link in the description. I put a link to your channel, and then also to NP Secundario, because I know it's in Spanish, but maybe some people want to follow that channel. It's Iru, where he's been doing his show for the past little bit.
Yes, YouTube make me another strike, so I'm gonna have my main channel demonetized, and also with the penalty until I believe Thursday of the next week, and then I'm gonna try to come back. And of course, all the strike came from this yellow poison that we're talking about, the yellow water, like I say in Spanish.
Right. So yeah, so again, we're just we were talking about, right? What you can and can't say, and we try and get
that's
around that.
That's crazy, man. That's just like the military dictatorship in Brazil and other places where people had to invent all kinds of codes to talk about things, and that the way it happens, that's what we're having to do. That means we're under a very kind of fascism.
Yeah, that's the definition of free speech, right?
Yes, and the funny thing is that we have like 10 patents of that yellow water in the pharmaceutical industry, and they use, and I appeal, and I send it in the message. I send it all the links to Google patents. So you guys, you have it in your own record of patents, and you are making me a penalty just because I read a title of a digital paper news. I read a title from a digital paper news, and they struck me. And I sent all the links and saying, hey guys, I talked with my lawyer. That's a lie. But just make me more important. And yes, you never know who read it. It's a mystery of YouTube,
No, you talk to your lawyer. Go ahead.
Yeah, I talked with my lawyer, and we read all the guidelines of YouTube, and nothing is suitable of penalty, because we use patents, we show patents which are in the world record. Even you have it in your own web page or whatever. I don't know how to pronounce in Spanish, but they don't complain, or they don't agree with that. That is the correct word. So they tell me, get your message into the black hole and hope to Stephen Hawking's detected.
Karen, what is that, a tuning fork?
Yeah, that's the sonic slider from that woman, Eileen McCusick, that was on the Crow Show, that does the tuning the human biofield.
Wow.
Wow.
Have you started using it?
I just got it today, and I was just messing with it a little bit. It's pretty cool. It's weird. Huh?
What is the idea?
Well, the idea is that it's tuned to a frequency meant for like this one. The sonic slider is just for like face and body relaxation and rejuvenation, and you're supposed to like put it on your face or on your muscles or whatever, different stuff with it, and it's supposed to improve your overall health, mood, pain relief, lymph movement.
Well, you have to tell us how it helps.
Well, yeah, for sure. Supposed to use it like 5 minutes a day at least.
All right.
Interesting.
Yeah, let us know. I'd love to try it if it works. Thank you, everybody, for the super chats, and everybody in DLive, obviously, for all the lemon throwing. I do appreciate it. Dylan Schumacher says, toxic masculinity. Finally makes sense on some level, but I'm proud to have worn a mask exactly 0 times since this pandemic started. Cheers. I wish I could say that, but I had to wear one once. And I do regret it, but no, we went to a doctor's office. Missa had an appointment before we switched over to the midwives, and it was required, and they didn't take my saying no. So congratulations to anybody out there who can say that. I think Karen can say that too, right, Karen?
Yes.
Impressive.
Still.
I still
100%.
got the one time. Damn it. But still, if you think about the amount of time, 99.99999, at least I have that percentage. All right. Let's see here if there's anything else. I think that's it. Any final words from anybody? Did I miss anybody? No? Don't think so. If people want to support the show, they can do so through Patreon, which would be great. Patreon.com/jeranism. Everybody else has one too. Nur para todos if you want to support.
Thank you.
Iru /anthropology for Rodrigo. Karen, do you have one? Remind me the name.
Yeah. Karen B.
Karen B. Easy. All right, guys. It's been fun. I'm going to go do some swimming, and we should see you Sunday. I don't know what you guys have going. We'll see. If not, don't worry. Don't fret. We're waiting for Bob to be ready to come back for Globebusters, which should be sometime in August. So at least it's this coming month. We will be back. But Bob's
you got
in
any
the
news for
process of
him? Is he
moving.
doing okay?
Yeah, he's doing good. Just busy. I know that they have some. I don't know if it's like a storage
They're
shed or
trying
like
to get out of Denver today.
Yeah.
They're trying to leave Denver. They finished packing the trailer.
The trailer. Okay,
So-
that's what it is. I was going to say a pod or something, but yeah, they've been packing that. So, and then they're going to move. And do they still don't know where they're going, Karen? Is that true?
No, they have a place that they're going to be staying at, but it's not permanent.
Oh,
They
gotcha.
don't have the forever place yet.
Got you. So they're going to be staying somewhere and then looking is basically what's going on. Right?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes.
All right. Awesome. We look forward to having Bob back. I miss him, so I haven't talked to him in a little while. So, Bob, come back soon. Jeranism, P.O. Box 3044, Merced, California 95344 if you want to mail me something. And that is it. I remind you guys to do your own research because when you do, you'll never again believe what you've been taught. Till Sunday, guys, this has been Jeranism and friends. Peace.